Stay at the line.
Oh, pack of cars come piling in as well.
Jump. Come in the line. Hello. Come back on him.
That was incredible.
Dude, nobody better. Nobody. Hell yeah, guys.
Hello, everybody. Welcome on in to another episode of NWP NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Hope you guys had a fun weekend. Nothing happened at the track at all. Nothing at all. No controversies. No, everyone was able to make it to where they needed to go this past weekend. Full tank of fuel. Everything was just fine. You know, it was great. You could say that we were having fun.
This is fun. We're having fun.
Hey, you guys asked me to have it that long. I have to keep playing it as much as possible. Over here is Eric Estep. Over here, if I can point correctly, is Danny V Talks. I'm pointing actually right at the logo too. So nice.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I was actually feeling weird for a second on my end. I saw Eric on the YouTube screen, but he was not showing up in my end for some reason. It was a spinny wheel, and I was very confused for a second. Now he just showed up on my end.
Oh, that's
spooky.
weird because on my end, like you guys have been like clean and pristine. We look great. I might look a little.
Well, thank you.
I'll get there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's very kind of you. Yes.
What might not have been as clean and pristine was the Xfinity race, and more or less. And thank you, by the way, Justin. We will read those super chats at the super chat stage break, but much appreciated. But everything about the Xfinity race was just a little slappy. Like I won't. I want to ask you guys. I know that this is later on in the itinerary we put it, but how would you compare this to Martinsville? Because I saw a lot of people comparing it to it. Had the same number of cautions. Personally, I didn't think it was as bad as Martinsville. Like I thought the cautions at least had a little bit more legit reasons at times.
Yeah, I felt like the cautions at Martinsville were very avoidable. Guys just being really over aggressive, driving in 3 lanes too deep, throwing caution to the wind.
Bonehead moves, basically.
Yeah, that's what I would say that was. Whereas Rockingham, there were a couple. There was a moment, I think it was Annunziata made it 3 wide on a couple guys and just immediately broke traction and got loose. And towards the end, was it Zilich who was 3 wide? It was Zilich, Poole, and somebody else went sliding up the track. They didn't wreck, but it was close. Like there were a few moments that made me go, "Oh, that was ill-advised." But most of the big crashes at the end were the result of a fuel mileage race, which I see fans saying, "Oh, if you know you're almost out of gas, just get off the track." It's like you're less than 10 to go. You don't know if your fuel. In fact, some of the crews sounded like they thought they had enough fuel to make it. That's not on the driver. The driver's job is to save what the crew chief tells them to save and then focus out front. And if it sputters, then you bring it in or try to get out of the way. But I can't blame the drivers for running out of gas in the middle of the pack or on a restart. If anything, that's on the teams, but it sounded like everyone's calculators were just broken. Maybe there's something in the air. Maybe the polarity was off in Rockingham, North Carolina, and none of the technology was working correctly. But yeah, it was sure wreckfest, ugly at times, but not in the same way Martinsville was.
Well, what'd you think of this Xfinity race?
I think Eric said it all right there. The biggest thing, and we've got a whole segment lined up for this. The biggest thing stood out to me was what the heck was Catherine Legg doing out there? Like that whole incident was completely avoidable. Like why was she that much off the pace, running that low where she was in their way? I'm baffled by that.
Let's just dive head first into this one. Eric, lead us off. I saw you looking like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, well, no, I think, I think I tweeted this. It's been a miserable season for Catherine Legg so far. She cannot buy a good headline, unlike she can buy a spot in the Xfinity Series field. Phoenix, she was thrown to the wolves. She's never run a cup race, hadn't run an oval stock car race in half a decade. They put her in a cup race at Phoenix, a tough track in the slowest car, and she spins out. I
still say they got the date wrong. I think they were trying to go for the week before at a road course, and they didn't realize it.
I think they would have preferred to run at a road course, but hey, you go when the sponsor checks clear, I guess. But she was in a really tough spot at Phoenix. I try not to hold that against her. But then you put yourself in an equally tricky spot at Rockingham, a sketchy, fast repave, and she didn't qualify for the race. she set like the 35th best time, but because of owner's provisional, she missed the show. So they buy out the 53, take JJ Yaley out, put her in. You take a driver who's super experienced and replace them with somebody who has little to no experience. And it's just, she's been put in she's an adult. She can make her own decisions. She's putting herself in some very vulnerable positions. The wreck itself, I think you put a lot of that on William Sawalich. Obviously, the instance in his windshield, he could have, what am I trying to say? What's the word? Hit the bottom. He could have run the bottom lane a little bit better. But to your point, Danny, she's inexperienced. There's a lack of awareness. She's running in the middle of the racing groove when the two fastest cars on track are bearing down on her. It's inexperience, and unfortunately it costs her.
So she's running way too low to be that far away. She should definitely be going higher than that if she's that much off the pace.
Yeah, and I think a more experienced driver like a JJ Yaley would have known that. She's inexperienced, and that's why she was just in a really awkward position and got run over. I mean, it's frustrating, obviously, because it took Casey Kane out of contention effectively. I think that's part of why the backlash on social media was as harsh as it's been. And I don't know if y'all saw the quotes from her earlier today. She called out, that she's got death threats and she's been harassed on social media, all of that.
No need for that, but
I think we all condemn those types of extreme negative actions. But you're right, Danny. She's inexperienced. She's in a vulnerable spot. It's tough. And now she goes to Talladega this weekend. Cross her fingers.
I'm just saying, Lord help us, Phil. We got her and Jesse Wuji in the same race.
Yeah, that Jesse Wuji is maybe more concerning.
Well, and so I like this whole situation to me is like, it's like a nice microcosm of the internet, like the reaction to it. Like, because the reaction, I think, is now a completely separate thing to what actually happened on the racetrack. Like, and so looking at the racetrack side of it, like, I think I do put it on both of them. And I think I've softened a little bit on, watching the replay a bit on leg, because I think on Saturday I put it like 75-25. I'd probably put it like 60-40 still. She did pinch down, was it Nick Sanchez who went by? Like
she drove him pretty close. Yeah.
So it wasn't like she was completely out of the way. There were a lot of other people who had gotten much more out of the way during the race. I mean, even Chris Wright, for all the flack he gets, he even got out of the way much better. On the other than with Sawalich, though, and I get these cars don't stop on like that, but it was pretty clear on his in-car camera or like on the roof cam, like the trajectory he was going to run into her. So I think that in that case, like I put a poll of which one people most thought was at fault. And I'm kind of with the 40% here, where I do think it was both of them. On the other end of it too, technically she didn't qualify for the field, even though speed wise, she was in the top 38 buying the ride in. That wasn't just to like get her in the field, because she's a woman or anything like that. Cause I saw that flying around. Like, this is something that's went on in NASCAR since the start, where I mean, I remember Jimmy Spencer talking about it, where basically the Bill France Jr. had kind of nudged him into like, hey, you might want to like sell this seat off or give this seat over to somebody who, is trying to get in the race and might be better. We've seen other drivers, past champions, when they can't make it in and they buy their way in with a sponsor. I
mean, in a deal like that, it benefits both the team she came there with and the team she ultimately raced with. I get it. You got a sponsor that's willing to pay you for it. So as a business owner, that end, you'd be stupid not to take it. So
you got to also weigh the cost if she wrecks it, which unfortunately she did get wrecked. So I don't know if there's,
I mean, if they essentially are willing to pay them what it would cost to replace it, then it evens out.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see what their bottom line looks like.
I still think NASCAR has a bit when it comes to this, of like what I know she raced, was it back in 2018 or 19 or so?
Yeah,
like she's had experience here before, and I get she's ran and she's a versatile driver and run in different series. I have to admit though, like I saw the way that people were talking about her, like other drivers were, and I get that, respect to her for trying all these different things, Indianapolis and IMSA and all these other ones, but like I admit, I went and looked at her numbers and I was thinking that like the way people talked about her, she'd like won in different series. She'd been really good. It's like, she's not exactly a world-class driver in that sense of like every series she's been in.
Yeah,
I'm not saying she's bad, but it's just, she's not as great as like, the people are comparing her to Cash Neves, and it's like it's not the same.
Yeah, I don't want to pile on Catherine Legg here too much because what she
No.
is trying to do is very difficult, but I had the same experience. So I obviously knew who Catherine Legg was. I remember the brief Xfinity Series stint she's had in the past, and I've seen her race IndyCar. I think 2 or 3 years ago, she qualified for the Indy 500. So I knew the name. I was familiar with her. I knew her from Open Wheel primarily, but I was doing research over the past couple weeks since she's come back to learn more about her. And I was somewhat stunned, yes, to see how many times she's been taken from a seat or run out of sponsorship money or been let go. Like I was on her Wikipedia page. I remember the first day, this was around Phoenix, and I was reading about some of her experiences. And it was a lot of, she made 2 starts here before she was dropped for X driver instead. And I was like, damn, is that sponsorship money drying up, or is that she just wasn't good? Like, I respect her for trying all these different disciplines, but you're exactly right, Jarrett. We're not talking about an Elio Castroneves. We're not talking about somebody who would ever be eligible for the OEP, if we're being completely honest. So I hope she figures it out. I just keep harping on the fact that they've started her off with the worst or hardest tracks possible. Like, she's a road course person primarily. She's got Mexico City on her schedule, but not for 2 more months. She's going to Texas, Charlotte, Talladega, Nashville between now and then. Those are hard tracks for someone with little to no stock car experience, especially on ovals. So she's being put in some really, really tough positions, unfortunately.
And not knocking her or anything, but she's doing this at 44 years old. Like, not like, okay, she's got a long racing career ahead of her at this point,
Yeah. I saw people point that out, and it just adds on. And I don't think it's us piling on in any way. I think it's stating the facts, and the facts is that this is stacked against her. And it's not just her. I mean, any driver, if you have a 44-year-old driver from a different discipline coming over to stock car racing, which I mean, there's been drivers like Juan Pablo Montoya who have said that they thought they did not realize how difficult it was. It is just as hard as anything they've run before. Right. And Montoya, I get everyone makes the jet dryer jokes, but he is, I would argue, a world-class driver.
He's an F1 champion.
I put him in, honestly, I put Juan Pablo Montoya in the same conversation as Tony Stewart in terms of being one of the best all-around racers, can hop into anything and succeed.
Yeah. I mean, just pure raw talent. So it's, all of that is stacked against her, and we've seen other drivers do the same thing before, and we've seen drivers do worse before. I mean, I saw the reaction to it, and I knew as soon as it happened, I knew everyone's going to go to each side. And the Casey Kane part didn't help either, just because, let's be honest, everyone was pretty damn excited for Casey Kane. It felt like, it was cool seeing everyone embrace Casey Kane. He always seemed like that forgotten driver back in the day.
That's not his only race. I hope he does another one.
Oh, I'd love him to.
I hope he does the Bristol Xfinity race. That would be fun.
Yeah, I'd be down. I want to see if he can keep that truck record as good as it's been, because he still, I think, finished like 14th or so with a damaged race car.
Hey, Spire has Hendrick money. Maybe put him in another Hendrick car as truck.
What crew chief? They just lost one this week. They might have to be grabbing some from the truck side. It just all around. I knew as soon as it happened, though, everyone's going to go to each side. We're going to have people that are, Catherine Legg can do no wrong. You guys are just a bunch of sexist assholes, and they're going to have a bunch of people on the other end who are like, women shouldn't be in racing, and then you're going to have all of us in the middle who are just saying, you guys are being idiots. There's a little nuance here.
Yeah, it's never as black and white as the internet wants you to believe.
My side is right. It's always right. You're wrong, and you're awful.
Maybe my side
person.
is right.
No, it's never right.
I think my side is the most correct side in the history of sides. Are we doing this right?
I think we are.
I'm just more on the side that, like Eric was saying, she's been put into a lose-lose situation here at this point, doing it this late in her career, to suddenly have a sponsor who's willing to pay. Gosh, they're losing so much money on this deal. You gotta know that they're losing money, more money than they're gonna get on return on investment with this.
Well, I think this was originally going to be the money that was going to go towards her Indy 500 deal before that all fell through, and the sponsor was like, "All right, we'll just move it all over to NASCAR. I might as well get some bang for the buck."
Which is crazy to think that for one Indy 500 they can get all this, NASCAR stuff with lower teams, more races.
I guess
Yeah.
we're kind of finding like, seeing how it's NFL draft week, you got the draft comp pick formulas.
Oh, I should have worn my
you know,
Titans hat.
I'm
You
wearing
know,
an
we're-
entirely wrong sport.
I'm on brand. But like, yeah, I guess you're seeing just how many Xfinity and truck races combined equal an Indianapolis 500 sponsorship.
Interesting. Yeah, the accountants out there are going to have a field day crunching the numbers to figure out the comps here.
I mean, give her credit. She's gotten airtime both races.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
I've never been more. I was gonna make a makeup joke. I was about to say like ELF. Like I've never been more inclined to purchase, and then I'm like,
Well,
I'm wearing
they're
makeup right now, as a matter of fact.
The sponsor is getting airtime, but by the time we see the car is crumpled to the point you can't read it. So
Damn. I could use some makeup right here. See how the light is like reflecting on my forehead awkwardly? I could use some like stage makeup right there. Does ELF do stage makeup? Can we? Okay.
I mean,
never mind.
well, remember the time that what was it? Remember the time that I was like, hey guys, you notice anything different? Because Riss wanted to see how makeup would look, because like a studio makeup would look on camera, and you guys are like, you kind of look glossy, I guess. Why? I'm like, Riss put makeup on me, and apparently it evened out in the light. That's why I have a greenish yellow ring light behind me, just because it evens out the red, so I don't look like a tomato.
Yeah, Jarrett's studio is a hodgepodge of colors. It is like a stained glass kaleidoscope in there with different colors to try and get the exact like natural balance. It's wild. Last time you showed it to us, I was like, "Oh, it's like Christmas morning over here."
So,
Just,
I'm not gonna lie though. Usually when he has all of his lights on, I would know exactly where his apartment is. So if I'm over on that side of the town, I can always tell what room was Jared's because he has that much light going on in there.
I got a big ass ring light held up by a Dale Earnhardt statue right here, right? And then
and then when you had the purple from your Vikings, that really made you stand out.
Well, yeah, but I don't have that now. That one's down for the move. I got the ring light on this camera right here. And then I got the yellow green ring light behind you guys, like behind that camera, another bigger one that's like right next on this side. And then I have a bluish one here to even everything out. And
Jarrett, read Napa Racing Fan 927's comment.
Oh, this one? No more sirens. I mean, I am next to another firehouse, but I'm a little further from the road this time. So probably not getting any more.
End of an era.
Yeah. I know it's gonna be so great having no sirens go right past my building 5-6 times an afternoon with a baby trying to sleep.
Good point. Actually, that's smart.
God, that would be awful. What was also great then awful was Jesse Love's day. He won, the car got away from him, and then he got DQ'd.
He was the show, man. He was so fun to watch on restarts.
He went from winning to worse than Catherine Legg.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
on paper,
it was a great burnout for a 37th place finish.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what.
I mean, the car was illegal. It seemed, so he had an unfair advantage. So I guess we had to take all this with a grain of salt. But like every highlight I felt was the 2-car ripping it around the outside, hanging that thing out as loose as he could. I think I heard we might reference him later, but our friend of the show, Bozy, has started a YouTube channel where he's going to do some of his more technical breakdowns on a regular basis. And he was talking about how RCR playing with their tolerances. Obviously, he was trying to get more skew in the car, a little more side force, but he made a comment like it only works if you have a driver who can handle it. And Jesse Love, I think, illegal or not, showed he can handle a loose race car, which that's a real skill. He's a dirt track racer. Like that's some of that dirt track ability coming through. So even though he gets credited with a 37th place finish, I still want to give Jesse Love his credit because he put on a show out there making moves in that car that we haven't seen others do in quite some time.
I have their statement here, by the way. It's RCR is disappointed in NASCAR's decision today to uphold the disqualification of the 2 team. We'll focus our efforts on moving forward and being competitive at Talladega. And all they put is this picture of the RCR logo with it.
They couldn't even be bothered to type it into the big thing we usually see. But my favorite part about this is every time we get to here, we are disappointed in the way that the timing of this announcement couldn't be
I read every RCR statement with the same grave tone of voice, just like the world is crumbling down.
You just imagine Richard Childress reading this to you with this look on his face every time.
Exactly, 100%.
Like you don't see this and think, oh, that was Mike Dillon wrote this. No, you think this is RCR just at his keyboard.
I like it, honestly. It's a little old school, like an owner who's a little hands-on. Sammy Smith ends up being the beneficiary, which I think that was the part. This kind of stung too. Jesse Love obviously was great all day, so it was cool to see him get the win. It would have been his first non-super speedway win. But I also loved the move he made on the final restart, just kind of moving Sammy Smith up off the bottom. I thought about as clean as you could do a bump and run at a place like Rockingham, and Sammy deserved it. We all know after what happened at Martinsville, he deserved to be moved for a win, and he was fairly. But now he wins anyway. Like, oh man, so even when somebody tried to pay him back, Sammy Smith comes out victorious. So it's,
you can't help but laugh. It's pretty funny when you think of it.
I know. It's like, man, I hate to see that perfect payback backfire, unfortunately. And to Sammy's credit, when he was asked on pit road after the race, when he thought he'd lost, of course, when he was asked, hey, was that fair game? Blah, blah. He gave the exact right answer. He said, yep, that was just hard racing. And I was like, great answer, Sammy. That's exactly what you're supposed to say after Martinsville. But yeah, so congrats to Sammy, though. Gets the win. That's big for him.
The moment you realize that the first win with this 8 back was because of a DQ. So the fans didn't even get to see it. They didn't get to see a burnout.
No victory lane photos, nothing. It's just like Lamar Jackson would have wanted.
Pushed aside.
Can we not this week?
I think that meme is going to live for a while. Yeah. Now I wanted to give a shout out though to Alpha Prime. Not one, but 2 cars in the top 4. Second, Parker Retzlaff, and then Brennan Poole in 4th. Nice rebound week for him after what happened at Bristol. But that's
really
huge.
This whole top 10 as well. You had Parker Retzlaff 2nd, Harrison Burton 3rd, which Harrison Burton a few years back in a JGR car, you expect that, but not in this 25 car. So Taylor Gray also showing he's continued to do well. Josh Williams, we all last year were like, what's Josh Williams doing in a Collin car? And here he is getting 7th place. Jeb Burton, Danny Dye, and then Jeremy Clements all in the top 10 this week.
Yeah, really good top 10. And you mentioned Harrison Burton. He's up to 12th in points. I just looked it up. And remember, that car last year was last in points for most of the regular season among full-time drivers, at least 12th early this season. Strong turnaround for AM Racing. And then, yes, got to echo what you said there, Jarrett. Parker Retzlaff, top 5. Brennan Poole, his 2nd top 5 of the season. I think I didn't see the full clip, but I know Tommy Joe Martins was on the Money Lap podcast. And like that team, now I know that Parker Retzlaff has a deal with Chevrolet, so he's getting leased top tier engines that Brennan and usually the 45 car are not typically getting. So he should be running a little better, but still that team operates, broadly speaking, with a fraction of the budget that the Gibbs, the JRMs, the Haas factory teams are operating with. So for Brennan to have 2 top 5s this year, and now for Retzlaff to qualify on the front row, run in the top 5 much today, and get a top 5, I believe his first of the year, like that is still extremely impressive for what is a relatively small team that should not be scoring multiple top 5s this season in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
And Brennan Poole, obviously going to Talladega this weekend, he has some unfinished business at that track. So
telling you what, man, I mean, this year, it's already been kind of one of those weird, wild years already in Xfinity. I don't see why that couldn't happen. And looking at the points, too, I believe, 6 of the 12 already? There's already 6 winners in the Xfinity side of things.
3, 4, 6. Yeah, of the 7 if you include Almirola, but he's not obviously full-time.
But, I mean, somebody winning that's outside of the top 12 already this early, that would really stir the pot a bit when it comes to the way that this would all shake out. Because, I mean, I'm looking on the bottom. Mayer is like the one who's pretty much in the best spot already. He should be fine. Quapple starting to kind of more come in his own. I do have to give a shout out to Ryan Sieg, though. He probably wasn't going to win even if they went green, but he still had top 5 speed for much of the day. And they've kept that speed up from last year. I know that was one of our concerns with Stewart Haas Racing going under because of their back and forth with them, but that team's almost gotten better year over year.
Sam Mayer in a Haas car looks the best he's ever looked speed wise. He still has some moments where you go, "Ooh, Sam, what are you doing?" But overall, he's like got more speed, second in points, like you said. Sheldon Creed, Sheldon Creed. I know he's been wrecked like 2 of the last 3 weeks or something like that. But Sheldon Creed still had speed. And then to your point, Sieg, they have a close affiliation with Haas factory team, and it seems like they haven't missed a beat either. So I mean, shout out to Joe Custer and whoever else is operating that Haas team at this point. It's a lost cause on the Cup side, but on the Xfinity side, they are still firing on all cylinders, which is good to see.
Yeah. And then one other talking point that I know a lot of people had from the race was the booth and CW. And again, CW, and we'll talk about it in the ratings in a moment. But honestly, I'm not a fan of remote broadcasts. Just not my thing. I like when the announcers at the track, they can talk to the people that are there, get a little more intel that way. But I will be honest, it's probably the best that I've seen anyone really do it was this past weekend. If you had not told me that they weren't at the track, I wouldn't have noticed.
It's just because Kligerman and Alexander, really all three of them, but Kligerman and McMurray do such a great job of like actually reacting to what's happening. Like I've noticed this, and maybe some people it bothers him. It doesn't bother me, but like Kligerman will peak his mic. He'll clip his mic at least once per broadcast. And is it the most professional thing? No, it peaks them, it glitches out for a moment, whatever. But it just shows he's into it. And I just feel too often when we have like guest commentators, like for Trucker Xfinity broadcasts, or even on the Cup side, sometimes Boyer, Harvick, these guest analysts, they're afraid to talk over the professionals, if you will. And it just leads to a quieter, less enthusiastic show. Whereas this whole year, I feel Kligerman and McMurray have consistently brought energy and enthusiasm. And they're both young and recent drivers, so they have good insight too. I think the Xfinity booth right now is just really strong on all parts. Even is it Carla Metz, I believe, is on pit road, and Kim Kuhn is doing pit road for them as well. Yes. I believe. They're great I just feel like as a unit right now, the CW is doing it really well, even though they did the remote broadcast this week, which is wild considering Rockingham's like an hour and a half down the road.
Yeah. It's like 80 miles.
Yeah.
But to be fair, and I think this is probably what it is too, is like CW and the NASCAR production side of things, like they at least seem, to me, they seem like they're trying to embrace newer things. Like they might not work every time, but I like that they're trying new things. Like I was watching Kenny Wallace's video today. I was like, what, I usually don't see eye to eye with his takes on it. And he's like getting all upset at people, not liking remote booths. But it's like, because when you contrast this with the way that the FS1 booth was and how they are for the most part remotely, and you can tell they do not use everything that they have access to. It is clear that it's like, hey, race starts at 7:30. Show up at 7 and we'll do a mic check. Cool. Bye. Click.
Oh yeah.
It's night and day difference because I think that's probably why Jamie Little has as many problems as she does. Now, granted, she wasn't doing great before by any means, but it's like, if you take that at track aspect away, I feel like you have to have somebody who is either really, really talented and or is really adept to this technology and is used to it already and has practiced with it over time, which I think Kligerman, Adam Alexander, and Jamie McMurray have done more than Michael Waltrip, Jamie Little, Joey Logano, you name who they put in there outside of Hocevar, who I think we'll get into the Truck Series race in a moment, but I think Hocevar carried that broadcast.
Not to get too far off topic, but Hocevar. So up until the final couple laps where Jamie Little butchered the last lap call because she didn't know it was the last lap,
and she cut off everybody to get her point across.
Up until that point, I would have said that was the best truck broadcast of the year, only because Hocevar came blazing in there, doing play-by-play himself, speaking fast with this kind of energy and tenor to his voice. And I noticed the moment he stopped talking, Michael Waltrip would kick in, and he was talking faster and more into it than usual. And then Jamie Little, like I've said this before, but I don't know who's directing Jamie Little to talk at this pace during the broadcast, but it's terrible. Hocevar comes in talking like this, and Little and Waltrip matched. And I was like, bang, bang, boom, bang, boom. This is actually decent until the final 3 laps.
honestly think though, because she cut him off to talk like on the backstretch and then was like making whatever point she was making on the last time. I think he was like, screw it. I guess I got to call the finish, because he was doing play-by-play while doing analysis. And I was like, this is great. Like it might not be the greatest, for people that are, paying attention as much to that side of it as like all of us would be, but it was still better than what we've been getting on that. And it felt, I loved watching a truck broadcast and actually feeling like the people that were there were excited to be there. Like that's the first time all year I've felt that. Speaking of the ratings that are on the TV side of things really quick, they didn't have the truck ratings published, at least when I checked last, but the Xfinity race topped 1 million viewers again with 1.053 million, which I believe was 19% over the same weekend as last year, which was Dover. And I'll defend that I think this one actually was nerfed a little bit because of the red flags and dipping further into the night on Saturday night. I think like Easter Sunday night, generally people aren't traveling as much and doing as much stuff. At least from what I've noticed and what I've had in the past, I feel like Easter Saturday night is when the partying's going on. I know like that's at least when I'd visit with my family, when we would go down to Arkansas.
Crazy for Easter.
Oh, my God, dude. Back in the day, we go down to Arkansas, we burn we'd find like just sofas and mattresses on the side of the road and we burn them.
For Easter?
Yeah, man, it's a big old redneck party.
He is risen. Let's light this sofa
dude, we set
on
the
fire.
tree on fire once on accident.
Dude, your team didn't win the Super Bowl. It's Easter. What's going on? You
get a bunch of rednecks in Arkansas together and redneck adjacent, and you have a good old time, man. It was great.
All right. Damn. Okay.
The amount of fumes I probably breathed in when near those fires is probably worse than any cigarette smoking ever could have done to me.
Y'all take Ash Wednesday a little too literally, it sounds like.
It's like Casey Kane Friday on a Saturday. We had Ash Wednesday on a Saturday as well. It was great. But looking at it means all 10 of the opening Xfinity races topped 1 million viewers. The first time this has happened since 2017. Also, even going all the way back into the 2000s and the 90s, this was the second highest rating for a race at the Rock ever for the Xfinity series. So
wow.
Very good weekend. And we're leading into Talladega, which I've noticed have been pushing a lot. So I'd be interested to see where that goes.
A lot of people just flipping through a lot of times CW is on the lower digit number channels in most areas. And they'll be flipping through that on a Saturday and say, oh, NASCAR. Oh, this is one of those cool tracks. Okay, yeah, let's watch this one.
Well, and I'll be honest, I thought that when they were able to race, I thought the racing actually was pretty good on Saturday. They widened the groove out as the race went. You were able to pass, you were able to get closer to them. I so badly want the Rock, once they fix the Cup car, to be a Cup race, but I just don't want it to be a Cup race now.
That's how most people feel. I think that's how most people feel after watching it. It's like, the racing was pretty good because it was sketchy conditions. A lot of drivers would make mistakes. The car was less aero sensitive, which allowed for more passing opportunities, but it was still difficult to move through the field. And I could just see with the next gen car and Cup drivers who don't make as many mistakes, it would have been so difficult to pass. There would have been little to no movement through the field. So we got to wait for the track to age a bit more. Hopefully the car to continue to improve, fingers crossed. And then maybe someday this could be like the All-Star race if, Wilkesboro gets a little stale.
I will say I am glad though that there's been that balance in all three series now of that old and new. There's so much new stuff, but it's like I think it might be 10 years too late to get the most out of it. But like NASCAR, at least kind of biting the bullet, getting back to the roots a bit, one way or another. I'll take it. Because if they can fix the car and Cup, then it should be really good. Because let's talk about this truck race. I'll be honest, I thought the truck race was the race of the weekend. And I'm surprised how many times I've actually thought the truck race this year is better than Xfinity. And I think it cleared it easily this weekend.
I don't know if I would agree with that, but I do think the trucks, I don't remember what the stat was. Maybe you have it handy, Jarrett, but there's a stat that somebody floated around that it's been over 20 races since trucks went into overtime or something like that.
Yeah, they said it on the broadcast.
Yeah, they've apparently, I guess I haven't really noticed when watching their races. But yeah, they've raced. The racecraft in trucks has improved over the past year, no doubt. I think it hit rock bottom maybe a few years ago at Knoxville, or when Hocevar and Heim got together at Phoenix. Like that was like rock bottom. It's gotten a lot better. And yeah, I thought they put on a good race of the weekend. I might still lean Xfinity, but it was good. And it was exciting to see Tyler Ankrum snap a long winless streak. That's your boy, right, Danny? Weren't you talking about Tyler Ankrum like a week or two ago?
Yeah, I was saying, like, man, it's been way too long since he's gotten back to victory lane. He was way overdue for it. And it's like I wanted to pick him to win truck races, but I couldn't depend on him to actually get it done. So I was thrilled to see him finally get it done this weekend.
Yeah, didn't you say that the last time he won was right before the Bristol All-Star race?
It was right before the 2020 Bristol All-Star race, because I remember watching it at a hotel in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, as we were kind of like on a little, just enjoying, some time off before that race happened. Because we were going to go to Kentucky Speedway originally, and then they were one of the tracks that still wouldn't allow fans.
It was 2019 actually.
Wait, it was 2019.
That's what Peter's saying. Yeah, 2019. So it was before COVID.
There's just nobody in the stands because that was the very end of Kentucky's life.
Let's be honest. Yeah, we could have probably told it either way. No one really cared. But I mean, still a year even further. Damn. Wow. I remember 2020 for the All-Star race. We had a show at 11 a.m. But that's insane. Longest streak ever, continuous, I believe, in Truck Series history. Longest winless streak.
Pretty wild. Looking at the
results. I thought it was 2020. I'm just like baffled now. I thought it was 2020. Sorry.
Oh, you're all good. I would have said 2018 before I saw someone in the chat say 2019. So
someone said 2020. Someone said 2020 they had an Xfinity doubleheader at Kentucky.
I don't even remember that.
Honestly, that was a whole different world, man.
Yeah. I'm looking at some of the results in this weekend, and I remember Thor Sport had a rough day at Rockingham. I was looking to see 4 of their trucks finished outside the top 20. Jake Garcia, the lone bright spot, qualified on the pole, wound up finishing second, led a bunch of laps. So shout out to him. But the McAnally trucks, obviously Ankrum winning, Hemrick third. I believe Jack Wood and Connor Mozak are on that team as well. They also got top 10 finishes. So, we talk a lot about it's Heim time, or, Larson in the 7 truck some weeks, or who, shout out to McAnally having themselves a heck of a weekend on the Truck Series side.
Well, and I love that we got a real fuel mileage finish for once. And like so many times we'll be like right there, like right on the edge where you're like, oh my God, we're going to have this cool finish at the end. People going to be running out of gas and who knows who's going to get where. And it actually happened. And it was everything I love about fuel mileage races. You got guys running out. You got guys taking just completely, basically kamikaze run strategies that aren't going to work without a prayer helping them. And the last lap, it just shuffled so much of the running order. I believe we only had 8 or 9 trucks on the lead lap. Because I know like Corey Heim, I believe, finished 8th. Maybe we had 7 on the lead lap.
7 on the lead lap, it looks like, if I'm reading this correctly.
And if you had seen that number and not heard anything else, just the box score of the race, you'd be like, 7 trucks on the lead lap? Are you kidding me? Hell no, I'm not gonna watch that. No, like it was worth watching. I did want to say one thing that I wanted to note really quick, and I didn't put it in here, but I wanted, while I'm thinking about it, bring it up. Stuart Friesen's interview after being knocked out.
Oh yeah,
like that to me is one of those like, yeah, that dude's gonna retire from NASCAR in a year or 2 interviews. Like an older guy, past his prime, literally saying, I don't even know like why I'm even doing this anymore, kind of thing.
Yeah, and he literally said that.
Yeah, it wasn't like he was running really bad either. He's actually been better this year.
Yeah, I don't know enough about that team. Like, I don't know the context. I assume it's a family-owned deal. I really don't know anything about him other than he's Canadian. And he's won a couple of truck races. It's been a few years. But like, I don't know, like those, he always seems like he's in that 8th to 12th place range, which is solid, I believe, considering the resources I think they have, but I don't actually know what resources they have. This feels kind of like an old school Craftsman Truck Series team, doing it yourself, going out there and being fairly competitive. But I don't know. I don't know the full story. So I hope, the interview was hard to watch, hard to listen to. I hope they turn things around, because I don't want him to, if Stuart Friesen were to leave the sport, I want it to be on a higher note than what we've seen recently, I suppose. So that's a bummer. Definitely interesting to hear him be so blunt with those comments.
Think he has a win left in him? Because I feel like he does.
I just pulled up his stats. Let's see. His last win came in 2022. Okay, so it has been a few years.
Yeah. Texas, right?
I'm pulling it up. I don't even remember. It was Texas.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Good pull there. But I'm looking at his numbers. The top 10s, top 5s have gone down steadily the last couple of years. Not leading nearly as many laps as he used to. He used to be a top 5, top 6 points guy. Hasn't been that. So maybe other teams are getting better. Maybe he's
if he sticks around, he might be a good candidate for Dodge to want to partner with right off the bat. But I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, veteran driver, doesn't really wreck any stuff unless it's like, somebody kind of, I guess, screws him over. Almost won Atlanta. Yeah. I mean,
the Kyle Busch fan in the comments is like, yeah, he almost won Atlanta, but he didn't.
Now I want to see, how old is he?
I'm going to guess 40. He is 41.
Oh.
Oh, were you going to make a guess?
I was going to see what Danny's guess was too, because I pulled it up. Yeah.
I think he's 41.
Good.
Nice.
Good. How did he know that?
He'll be 42 in this June or July. Yeah, I mean, truck wise too, like that can extend your life a bit more when it comes to career wise. Like I still think he has a win in him.
How old
like
is
I don't
Matt
know where.
Crafton? 48. I didn't know Matt Crafton was that old.
Yeah.
It's about time for him to hang it up there, bud.
Okay, never. Yeah, in that case, then Friesen still got a few years left, because that would have meant Crafton won a title 6 years ago. He was 42, right? Roughly when he won his last title.
2019, right?
He'd been about 42. There. So, Stu, you got one more year, buddy. Give us one more good year, maybe 2.
Danny, is there supposed to be a thunderstorm through here?
Yeah, we got pop-up storms coming. It's officially summer, bud.
Woohoo! Yes, in Illinois, like this time of year, you're still waiting for like that last snowstorm to roll through.
We have officially hit the time of year where it can be beautiful all day, and randomly you'll get a thunderstorm that lasts for about an hour or two, and then it's done.
Hell yeah! All right, that's awesome. That's good to know. That actually made my night a lot better. But yeah, I thought overall, I thought a successful return to the Rock. First time in 12 years for trucks, and like 21 for Xfinity.
Correct. Yeah, and I agree with Thomas. Y'all faked me out. I thought we were going into the lightning round, and
the chat was saying that too. They thought we were going straight into the lightning round all of a sudden.
No, I was legitimately just asking a question. I guess we've done that so many times because we always have weather down here. I was like legitimately just like, were we supposed to? I checked the radar and there was nothing there when we started. Of course, it's been 45 minutes. So, actually, it's kind of funny. I think we're almost to lightning round. Why don't we go into the first super chat stage break? And we could probably do a little bit longer one. You want to go to the let's go to the 50-minute mark for the super chat stage break.
Sounds good. See where we get.
All right. So I got to get the ones also that were before we went live, which there were 2, I believe. First one from Bailey for the 5, who said, apparently it's okay as a commentator to tell someone they want to race after the checkered flag as he's entering turn 1 and hasn't won in 6 years. Yeah, I think I kind of knew that was going to be coming towards us. Let's see. Oh, damn. I didn't know you could go that far back. It doesn't do that for me.
Oh, cool. Sorry, I'm throwing them up.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Isaac for the 5 says that incident says 3 things. Leg should stick with road courses. Kane has the worst luck at the Rock, and Sawalich has made Riley Herbst look like KFB.
I believe Sawalich. Oh, I closed it, but I think he's 26th in points right now.
So I was actually looking that up. Give me just a second and get it right back. William Sawalich is 24th in points right now in the playoff points. and he is ahead of Kyle Sieg, Ryan Ellis, Blaine Perkins, and Chris Wright, but he is behind the likes of Matt DiBenedetto and a brand new team, Anthony Alfredo, Parker Retzlaff, Josh Williams, Jeremy Clements, Brennan Poole, and Nick Sanchez, to name a few.
Damn.
I was going to say, oh, it's early. And then I realized we're a third of the way through the season, nearly, for trucks. We're 10 races in.
Oh,
He's gonna need to pray that JGR equipment can pull a win out of their butt.
Chris
Cheeks.
McIntyre.
Sorry.
Yeah, they are cheeks. You're right.
Chris with the 5-year says we'll be at the draft tomorrow night with an NWP sign. Nice.
Oh, wow.
No way, really?
Hope to get on TV with some free promo for y'all. Real NFL players don't wear purple. I won't say the last part, but hey, I appreciate it. You're one of the good ones.
If I see an NWP logo in
it.
Green Bay, I will lose my mind.
I will say it for him. He did say "Go Pack Go," but I will say that for him.
I won't say that.
I can almost say it. My favorite driver was a Packers fan.
Hey, if you can find a way though to since if it's going to say NWP, I'm Titans. We have a Texans and we have a Vikings. That you can somehow work those logos onto it too, that would be great.
Yeah.
Oh. Justin Drake with the 50 says The Rock took Catherine to Know Your Role Boulevard.
That's a reference to The Rock. The wrestler.
Okay. And turned that jabroni car sideways and stuck it straight in the garage, which sucks because it doesn't help the reputation she got from Phoenix. Self-spinning lap 4, then and spun with Suarez. Yeah, God, she really. I'll be honest. Yeah, I'll be honest. It's just. She just needs to just not be mentioned this weekend.
That's what I've been saying. She just can't buy a good headline. So the goal at Talladega this weekend should just be don't be in a headline. Just have a nice, quiet, consistent day.
Oh, God. Can you imagine if she has some kind of major crash this weekend?
Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Let's hope for the best. I'm rooting
funny
for
you
it.
said that. Funny you said that. It's funny you said that. It's funny you said it because it says it's SW for the 2 says it's Talladega Nights weekend if there are lights. That's perfect timing to have a Talladega Nights reference.
I didn't even mean to do that.
Hunter Nixon Fishing for the 20 says semi-hot take. I would like to see what maybe Rodney Childers and Chase Elliott could do together. Not saying Gustafson is a bad crew chief, but objectively, I would rather have Childers than Gustafson if Hendrick makes that change. Who would you guys rather have?
Oh, man.
That's actually a good one because both of them are not at the peak that they were before.
So I feel like an NFL team that's had a lot of 9-8, 10-7 seasons, but we've never gotten over the hump. So do we fire the coach? Because that's what Alan Gustin has been the last few years with Chase Elliott. Yeah, they won that title 5 years ago, but since then they've been good, not great. Consistently playoffs, consistently making deep runs. Now they're not winning consistently anymore, so maybe that should force their hand. But is now the time to fire Gustafson, or maybe the next guy is even worse, and you'll be wishing you still had Gustafson. I think Rodney Childers 8 years ago, I would have taken him in a heartbeat.
You sound like someone talking about Mike Tomlin on the Steelers. Always has a winning season, never in contention for a Super Bowl.
It's been a while since they've been in a Super Bowl. That's true.
I heard that one.
There's the thunder.
Yeah, go ahead, Danny.
I was going to say, if I'm Hendrick and I can really afford to go make an offer to whoever I want, I'd pay good money to get Jonathan Hassler away from Ryan Blaney and over Chase Elliott.
Ooh. Man, if you could just go buy, if you're the New York Yankees of NASCAR and could just go buy whatever you want.
I feel like that is a combination that if you give Jonathan the strength, because I think slightly Hendrick pit crews have a slight advantage over the people at Penske, and granted Penske has won the championship the last few years, but still I think that they have a better overall pit crew team over there. If you gave him the strength of that plus Hendrick equipment and Chase Elliott, I think they would probably be pretty good together.
Chase Elliott's only ever had one Cup crew chief, I believe, so it just might be maybe it's time to move on.
Maybe outside of that one run in the 25, I think. Yeah, you're right. Damn.
Yeah, like, I think I'm thinking full time. I think he's only ever had Gustafson.
Let's do 3 more here. First one from Fred Dog for the 10 saying DQs like Rockingham actually feel worse to me than Martinsville. You invest several hours watching only to find out at the end that it was changed several hours later on social media. Very frustrating. I gotta say, like, I've never had a race I've went to where the winner got DQ'd, but I'd kind of feel a little miffed after the fact, unless it was like my driver.
Yeah, no, I agree. It sucks. It's still better than them announcing it 2 to 3 days later, as opposed to I'd rather them announce it 2 hours than 2 days later. I suppose.
I still remember us all busting out laughing at Bonfire Mongolian Grill. It was me, Jarrett, and I think Darian was there too. But we all busted out laughing when we found out that not just who had won, was it Denny Hamlin or Kyle Busch? That
Denny had won.
Is this the
Denny,
race?
Denny had won, Kyle Busch second, and we found out not just Denny, but Kyle in second, both DQ'd. Third place, Elliott is the winner.
It was such a
we just
dumb.
busted out laughing when I read that off.
Yeah, I was at that race, so I guess I have been to a race before he got DQ'd.
Oh yeah,
I was back at the Airbnb when they announced it, and I was like, "Oh shit,
better run back to the track."
Yeah, I was like, I already left. Damn, whoops.
2 more here. Steven for the 20 says, I believe North Wilkesboro should take the Bristol spring date, and I would love to see Rockingham get the all-star race. Also, what the F is this all-star format this year? So we'll cover that.
Marcus Smith caution.
we're gonna probably talk more in depth about that come All-Star Week, because let's be honest, we'll talk about it, and then all of us in this panel and 90% of the people in the chat will completely forget about it.
And we need to give NASCAR more time to ultimately do more stuff before then.
We'll talk about a little bit of what could have been, at least in a bit at the end of the lightning round. But last one here, I believe it's Scrapyard 24C, says, I found out yesterday that Christopher Bell will be slinging dirt at one of our local tracks next Friday, Rocket Raceway Park. Too bad I'll be attending the Truck Series race at the that same evening at Texas Motor Speedway. I like that they were able to, if they're going to do extra stuff, racing especially, and the dirt ban being lifted at Joe Gibbs Racing, racing at smaller tracks, whether it's dirt or asphalt, that was something that drivers, especially the big stars, used to do a lot back in the day. I remember in the 2000s, they would always talk about Tony Stewart's at this track. Dale Jr. did a race at this track. And then, Jimmy Johnson or Jeff Gordon, like they just show up with an entry last second. And then it would be like this huge surprise for the 5,000 to 10,000 people, give or take, that were at that race. So I guess it's like a nice little, throwback to have a driver do that more.
I'll say this, Scrapyard, I don't know if Bell's going to run these races, but they are running the high limit sprint cars at the Texas Motor Speedway dirt track Thursday and Saturday, according to their website, at least. So you said the Bell thing is on Friday. So there's a chance maybe we see Bell Thursday, Friday. So anyway, keep an eye on the schedule. Maybe Christopher Bell shows up to Texas Motor Speedway that weekend for a dirt race.
Yeah, that might happen. All right, that'll do it for the first Super Chat stage break. Let's let's not beat around the bush too much with them. Danny, I know we heard a little thunder, and what comes before thunder? The lightning round. Ka-chow. Let's get into the lightning round here. Of course, we have the NWP channel. We'll have episode replays, specials, all that stuff. We might have some more fun stuff on that. We're working on it. We will get there. I promise. It's not like the 4th OEM. It's somewhere in the room. We just got to find it. Like, I swear it'll happen. But just letting everyone know that we have that channel for anyone who might miss it live. You can always watch the replay there. We also update you on which channel it'll be on each week. So all that. Ryan Newman will make his first Cars Tour start at Orange County this weekend. So for anyone that might be out there, definitely check that one out. And then the Prime Garage 56 documentary will be released on June 12th, and it's titled American Thunder, NASCAR and Le Mans.
We got American Thunder out here right now.
We are. I love, like, back in the day, we had preseason thunder, we got NASCAR thunder,
Yeah, I love
It
the word
fits.
thunder. It's such a good NASCAR term.
Well, and it's like one of the few like
NASCAR Thunder 2003.
EA Sports. To the
E
game.
E E E E E. Have you seen the other ones like EA Sports? Go F yourself.
Oh, wow. The voiceover guy, what the hell, man?
That's EA once they started doing all the microtransactions.
That was post NASCAR Thunder, sadly.
It'll be $10 to get me to say this normally.
$10 to say it without cussing. Parental guidance not caring at all. So there is that to look forward to. A lot of NASCAR stuff being put out on Prime. I know they have the Earnhardt documentary coming out soon, among a bunch of other ones they're going to be making. This is one of the big things we wanted to talk about, though. Bozy, who just started his podcast, I believe today he uploaded the first episode. Really big on Twitter, works with a lot of the teams, knows his stuff fully. So what he says is usually like there's some weight behind it. He brought up that teams passed up on a kind of run what you brung all-star race. Like the safety specs would have to all be the same and good. But pretty much it sounded like outside of that, maybe the engines might have had to be the same, or at least within some parameters, but it's basically like, bring a car, whatever you want to do to it, and we'll figure out which team is decking that thing out the most. And I know Denny Hamlin's going to talk about it on his podcast on Monday. I think that's when they uploaded his Mondays. But I got to admit, man, I'm so disappointed. Just that premise alone would get me more excited for the All-Star race than any gimmicked format they've made for it ever.
Oh, it definitely gets me more excited than the Marcus Smith caution that we're going to get instead. It gives me Jimmy Johnson, anything with an engine or whatever, for the Wii or whatever that came out of the PlayStation 2. Yeah, no, it's interesting. I get why I honestly do. Not to be a wet blanket, but I do understand why the teams might balk at that idea. Yeah, it'd be awesome to show up with anything. Like the fans, I think for an all-star race, it should be unique. This would be extremely unique. But if you're the teams, there's a lot of extra R&D that might go into this one-off exhibition race. It would completely potentially change up your week to week, your day-to-day process at the shop. Like it would be, I could see it being very expensive because the Hendricks, the Gibbs, the Penske's will take it very seriously because they want to get their sponsors in front of the TV cameras. There's $1 million on the line, et cetera, et cetera. But some of the smaller teams, for sure, it just wouldn't be worth it to build something completely new just for this one race. I could see that being the argument. It stinks because I think it would have been fun for the fans to see something truly unique. But if I had to guess what Denny Hamlin's going to say on his podcast, that's going to be the rough explanation. It would have been too expensive, too much of an investment for a one-off exhibition race.
I get that, but listen, as a fan, I don't care anymore. Like I don't really care anymore. I'm so damn sick of hearing the same excuse when we all know they're just going to put that money into something else. They're not going to actually save money. Like if a bunch of people get laid off, that money is that they were paying those people on the payroll. That's just going to go to the sim. The money that they're paying for whatever other thing they're cost cutting for, they're just going to try and put it somewhere else. So it's like it's the All-Star race. The whole premise of the race was just, bring home the trophy or the steering wheel from the start. I get they've always gimmicked it up. I'm just kind of sick of it. I mean, I kind of said it in my video today. It's like you have so many NASCAR fans nowadays who I guarantee you are like wondering if they can afford, the carton of eggs with whatever other groceries they can get. And then I'm having to hear about these people that are as collective, like Parker Kligerman said on his show, that are as a collective making, the Cup Series making $1.1 billion a year. And they're telling me how, I don't know, man, we're going to pinch some pennies together, man. I don't know how, there's no way we could just do like a one-off, test race basically, or just something, I'm so sick of hearing about it. In 10 years, we're going to look back on this era and that is going to be one of those sayings that we're all going to look back at and be like, oh, like that gif of Clint Eastwood.
Yeah. Well, it is ironic because Denny Hamlin has been one of the most vocal
Yeah, no, greatness was right there. So close. Maybe if we just keep pushing this as an option, one of the years they'll finally. Right? Yeah. I don't know if it's just me, but on my end, Danny's mouth never moved when he talked there.
Whoa.
Yeah, it briefly cut out. I don't know what happened there.
You looked like Jeff Dunham for a moment. Yeah. Last part of the lightning round. Again, weird week. We can end it off a little weird. Let's talk a little about Rodney Childers. Leaving Spire effective immediately. First reported, I want to give him credit because he reported it like 30 minutes before anyone else. First reported by Breakhard. Want to give him his flowers on that one. He was ahead of everybody else, even Stern and Bianchi and all of them on that. What do we think about, Rodney Childers now out at Spire? There's been, if you look at the 7 team year over year, it's visibly improved points wise. I believe like 29th to 23rd now.
I think actually they were 32nd in owners points last year.
Second,
at least.
At this point, I mean.
Oh, at this point, yeah, maybe they were. I know they finished the year 32nd. To jump up to 23rd. The 7 team, the only thing that's the same there since Daytona is the driver. I mean, the pit crew's been swapped with Larson's. That was a Hendrick decision.
Damn.
The car chief left a couple weeks ago for Gibbs, Ty Gibbs specifically. And now the crew chief is gone, just 9 races into his Spire tenure. They both put out statements. Childers and Spire co-owner Jeff Dickerson both put out statements. I'll be honest, reading especially Spire's statement, they make it sound like it was their decision. I mean, look at the first sentence here. NASCAR is an ever-evolving sport, and the path to improvement isn't always comfortable, suggesting, okay, we need to improve. The break in the Cup schedule gave us a chance to evaluate where we are as a program. We took that opportunity to discuss the best paths forward for everyone involved, and we ultimately agreed this would be the best idea to part ways. That reads like the team said, we don't like where this is going. We're going to make the change. Rodney, here's the plan. Like, that's how that reads. They can say it was mutual. That doesn't read like a mutual breakup to me. That reads like someone at Spire wanted to make a change. Now, what I want to know is, how are the pit crew swaps, the car chief leaving, and now Rodney, how are they related? And it makes me wonder. This is me I talked about this in my show today. This is purely speculation. This is me just thinking out loud. But Gainbridge is a multi-billion-dollar investment firm, and we're seeing more and more of these ownership groups come into the sport. And you see this in other sports. Billionaires, there's a lot of money involved. They get impatient and they like to meddle. I live in Dallas. I know all about millionaires meddling with our professional sports teams and refusing to let the actual football, or in this case, racing people, do the work. I wonder if this is partially a Gainbridge, if this is coming from above Jeff Dickerson, above TJ, above the traditional Spire owners, because I don't know, it seems wild to overhaul the 7 team a quarter of the way into this season. Maybe it was Rodney's call. Maybe he didn't like the pit crew swap. Maybe he was upset that Cheddar left. Maybe it's Rodney's decision, but that statement from Spire doesn't read like it was a Rodney decision. So I'm very confused right now.
My question is where does he go at this point? Because middle of the season, getting let go like this, there's not going to be an opening anywhere really worthwhile unless somebody makes that opening. And I've already seen the people that are like, come on, bring him to Chase. That ain't happening. I don't think it's happening. It'd be fun. It's a fun conversation, but it's not happening. I've seen a lot of other people like bring him over here to RCR, give him to Kyle Busch. Let's see if we can make that one work out. I know others have also brought up, just like, what if he goes to Trackhouse and next year he's the crew chief for Connor Zilich when he comes up, which I think would actually be really interesting, having that older crew chief, younger driver. That would immediately remind me of when William Byron came up and he had Chad Knaus for a couple of years there. Might not have got the results, but I guarantee you he learned valuable information from going with a first ballot Hall of Famer. So I'm interested to see where he goes, because I think he can elevate any team, whether it's on the box or at the shop.
And that's to even say he continues to be in the crew chief position. What if he looks into the opportunities of broadcasting? Someone like the CW could use someone who has crew chief experience to join their broadcasting, or he ain't getting any younger. Larry McReynolds is getting older. What if they try to find another guy who has that kind of background and he has that relationship with Kevin Harvick? There's a few opportunities he could look into outside of just being a crew chief now.
I think no matter where he goes, whether it's a team, whether it's broadcast media, like, he's going to bring with him a wealth of knowledge and championship experience, like you just said, Jarrett. But I will say, I do think overall, many fans, and many of us included, are slightly overrating him right now. And that's Rodney Childers is a champion. From 2014 to 2020, he and Kevin Harvick were virtually unstoppable. But since 2020, he's been very stoppable. He had 35 wins as a crew chief over those 7 years. In the 5 years, 4+ years since, he has 2. I just nailed my mic. Sorry. He has 2.
To be fair, that was also a Stewart-Haas Racing. That was a team on the downturn.
Well, I'll also say this. So 2020, he wins 9 races with Harvick.
Mm-hmm.
The rules package didn't really change going into 2021, but they won 0. 9 to 0. Something did change. The big ass spoiler was still there, but something changed, and Childers and Stewart-Haas were not able to readapt. And I think with the next gen car, I don't think he's fine. He's good. I'm not saying he's a bad crew chief. I'm just saying he's not the GOAT top 5 crew chief we thought he was, or that he was during his run.
The change was Kyle Larson existing.
Yeah, maybe does take a lot away from everybody else.
Siphoned a few away. Yeah.
But I will say, though, especially the next gen era, that did fall off a lot. And we were on the show saying like that Harvick and Childers were breaking their backs and they need to have some kind of arthritis medication sponsorship because of how much it must be hurting. I just think that no matter, even with that, because I do think he's a bit overrated from where he was. I agree there. And I don't even think he'd maybe be like a multiple times a year winning crew chief really at any team, unless he was like at a top level team. But wherever he goes, like, especially for a younger driver, that information is so valuable.
I agree with you there. Absolutely. Like, that's what I'm saying is I think you don't bring him onto a team expecting him to be like a Chris Gabehart, competition director, elevate everyone. You'd bring him in, like you're saying, to work with a young guy. I thought it was going to be Justin Haley. Guess we were wrong. You bring him in. I like your Connor Zilich idea, is really spicy. That could be really interesting. But yeah, you're right. Like you said, Chad Knaus with William Byron at the end of his career, getting Byron a jump start, I think was brilliant. I think Childers, while he's not in his prime, can offer a lot of knowledge to any team that might pick him up this year, next year. We'll see.
I'm amazed that the silly season talk is starting with a crew chief this year. That's
wow. Interesting. Good point.
I have a feeling that I have a feeling we're getting to that point of the year, late April into May, into the summer. We're going to start probably hearing those wild rumors. The reckless speculation segment is probably going to come back with like a damn force come the next couple weeks and months for sure.
Look at the chat. Yeah, Rodney worked with Scott Riggs. He worked with Mark Martin at the end of Mark Martin's career at MWR. Like
Vickers, he got that win at New Hampshire.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
He was. I mean, hell, with Scott Riggs, he almost won the Coke 600.
I've been everywhere, man. He's been everywhere.
Good pull. Well, that'll, again, long lightning round that basically like added 2 segments into it as we go. But one last thing for the lightning round is next week we'll be on Danny's channel, April 30th. at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Should be a lot of fun. And the last day of April. So
One last day of the month on my channel.
And it should be pretty good. I think it'd be pretty good. After Talladega, good or bad, there was always something to talk about. But
Maybe
that'll
we'll be
do.
talking about Ryan Preece flipping again. We'll see.
Let's hope not. You keep cursing. You guys keep cursing the stream.
Hey, it's not my fault. He's a magnet for the air.
Side note: Ryan Preece and RFK are funny. There was during their one of their sponsor social media skits they filmed recently. I don't remember the exact quote, but it was like Ryan Preece is like walking and he's like, "I've been like doing really good this season. You know, I've like done this, I've done that. I've kept all 4 tires on the ground since Daytona." And I was like, "Damn, that's funny." They're laughing at themselves.
Self-referential comedy is always funny.
Always in.
But that'll do it for the lightning round. I will text our guest to make sure that he can jump on at some. I think he's supposed to jump on at 8:15. So he'll add into what we're about to talk about, which is the headlines. I love it. I love all these things. Shout out to Jet. I have him tagged in the description on the YouTube side of it. Subscribe to him. He makes all of these badass graphics. But let's talk about the first headline, and that is Homestead Miami Speedway, according to Jordan Bianchi, who is the schedule guy, will host the 2026 NASCAR finale weekend. There's no dates given at the moment, but it's looking like, based on the estimates, it'll be October 30th, 31st, and November 1st. So my birthday might be the Homestead finale. We might all have to go hang out. We might have to all go and hang out for my birthday. That might be my request. Like, hey guys, let's go get a cloud house down in Miami for a bit.
the cloudest of cloud houses in Miami. This is awesome. No, it's so Bianchi's reporting says it's tentatively a 1-year deal just for 2026. What I found interesting is that Phoenix, as we understand, pays several $1 million to NASCAR every year for the rights to host the championship. They have not been able to strike a deal like that with the city of Homestead or the state of Florida just yet. Yet NASCAR is going forward with this plan anyways, because they just truly believe the racing will be that much better. They hear the fan criticism, fan response. So I actually think NASCAR, and I'm sure it's Ben Kennedy driving that, deserve a lot of credit for this decision, assuming it's correct. But that's great. I mean, to have Homestead back in the championship slot, even if it's just for 1 year, I mean, I think that's great. I think it deserves it. It's going to put on a better show than Phoenix would.
I will say that is a mighty low bar, unless they can fix the tires in the next year. So watch that's what happens, is like we finally go away from Phoenix and they actually figure out how to make Phoenix like a really fun race. That would be total NASCAR luck. That
would happen.
I just think that regardless what we end up doing with the championship in the long term, if it's a rotation, I just want whatever that track is, that's your only date. That's my only request. I just don't believe in going to the same track twice if it's a championship.
Fair enough. They do say in 2027, according to this report, it'll likely go back to Phoenix and then be part of a rotation where it changes every year.
I know Phoenix is part of it, but I know the rumors, at least that I've been hearing, is that Vegas would be 2027.
Oh, I'm misremembering the report.
Because I thought it was going to rotate between ISC and SMI.
None of that has been reported, but I like Vegas hasn't been mentioned. ISC versus SMI hasn't been mentioned, but yes, that's all. Like, I personally would think Las Vegas, maybe even Kansas makes sense on that rotation. But none of that's been, it's all just rumblings at this point. So I guess we'll have to see.
Why don't we ask our former Miami native what he thinks, if he's ready to go? Our old John Player Ramos here.
John Player.
What's up, John Player?
Did someone say Homestead? It's raining outside right now in Tennessee, if you didn't already know. But hello.
We've been talking about the thunderstorm the whole time, and here's John just outside in it.
Yeah, I was at a dinner. But I'm going to be honest. As someone that lived in Miami for 21 years of my life, I'm excited that Homestead's back, but the real question is, does it stay? And I'm not sure if you guys got into that. We don't really know at this point.
Do you think it'll be part of the rumored or reported rotation after 2026?
If they renovate it. I mean, have you been to Las Vegas? I'm pretty sure it's a nicer facility than Homestead.
A little. It's showing its age, but it's a little. The infield's definitely nicer.
And that's the big thing. I mean, I've been to Homestead every year since '09, barring 2020 and this year because I was in Pensacola for ASA. But every year you could see its age coming in. And I guess the good thing is, at least government-wise of the city of Homestead, they seem to be backing the track. And the racing quality, it's honestly gotten better over the years with the track aging and the next gen working pretty well there. I just think it's going to come down to, can you give it the facelift and will the fans come out? And I've talked about this before. When you get outside of South Florida for the first time living, you realize how hard it is to get down there, right? If I live in Sebring, I live in Orlando, and I can afford 1 or 2 races a year, maybe. Am I going to pick Sebring's 12 hours? Am I going to pick the Daytona 500, Coke Zero? Maybe I go out west to Tampa to St. Pete. There's so many other options, and that's the big thing Homestead struggles with, and that's attendance. My first race I went to in '09, NASCAR is still big boom. Even though they're in a recession, Homestead didn't sell out, and they sold out the Jeff Gordon race in 2015 because they added tarps in turn 1. So they're going to have fan involvement. That's the big thing. If it doesn't look good for the viewer back at home, you can't expect that track to stick around no matter how great the racing is. Don't drivers talk about, or they used to, how great Atlanta was? It was fun to drive. In 2018, Atlanta was a ghost town, right? 2019 as well. It's going to be in that situation where if they show up, it will be in the rotation. But if they don't show up, you could also go from Homestead being the championship again to, will it be around by 2030?
I definitely see 2026. I see them selling that place out because it'll be the first one in a long time. They have removed seats. I don't know if you know what the capacity is now, John. I imagine it's in the 40,000 range, which is comparable to Phoenix. I think for the big return, I think they would do fine. But you're right, going forward, or certainly if they were to do it every year, there is so much competition even now in the Miami area with Formula One. Like, it's going to be tough. So I would be curious to see if they feel making that big investment is worth it. I imagine that's where they're getting cold feet.
So looking at the seating capacity, I don't have the current one, but as of 2019, it was 43,000. And they've since, remember, we were sitting in turn 1.
Yeah, that turn 1 grandstand is almost entirely gone now.
Guys,
Yeah.
is it just me who can tell that the rain is really picking up on John right now? Do you want to get dry, John?
Are you undercovered? Is this an IRL stream?
There we go. Is this better? I didn't know how it was.
I'm like looking at the radar and I'm watching it behind him. Like, it is picking up behind him. He's just standing outside in this, guys.
Yeah, I got out of a meeting. I still have to go back in there, but I couldn't miss the show. You guys were talking about Homestead. How could I?
This is your special segment.
Yeah, they still have a little bit of the turn 1 seats. The marketing's a little bit different, right? They're trying to appeal to that South Florida culture, and I worry about where it is. You know, like, we live in Nashville. We're 6-8 hours from most of the big things in racing. I think about it now. My family lives in Sebring. Even when we go, it's tough to get there. It's tough to get out there. I just don't think there's enough race fans down in South Florida to want to go there. Because even when NASCAR was in its fad, there was struggles. Minus like 2005, 6, and 7. We get that. But 2012, 2011, I think there is an issue with making new race fans. I think it's possible. I think you can get the city of Homestead behind. I think there's an appeal to going down to Key Largo, you know, because that's what some people in the industry do, Key Largo, Key West as well. There needs to be that.
I think we lost him.
Interesting. Good point.
The storm got him, boys.
I was about to ask him too, because like we know Miami, I feel like Miami is kind of known for having sort of fickle sports audiences. Like the Miami Heat work, especially when LeBron was there, but like the Miami Marlins.
I think I lost you. Did I lose you?
Oh, you're
back.
He's alive.
Did I lose you?
You're good. You're back.
Can you hear me now?
I'll be back.
He's lagged.
Well, anyway, no, but
Season
I was just
1.
wondering because like the Marlins, they'd struggle with empty seats. The Dolphins are the Dolphins. I wonder like what is it about maybe the Miami area sports fan? We hear about like Southern California sports fans are notorious for showing up in the 4th inning, you know, or showing up in the 2nd quarter. You know, like is there something about Miami that just I know the track is 30 minutes south, but that also might make it difficult to become a staple, especially in the local region. I don't know. It's tough, but if we get John back, we can ask him some more.
The big thing I'm curious what he thinks of this, because he's more in the know on it than I am, is like the fact that the city really didn't put that big package together, and NASCAR kind of bit the bullet and said, well, the fans want it, we'll do it for this year, start the rotation, go from there, because they were supposed to announce it at Homestead weekend. I mean, Byron basically spilled the beans on that one.
Yeah, they apparently had multiple drivers, I think, even come down early, like they were going to have like a big announcement that week, and then the deal fell through last minute with the city or the county or whoever, the sports commission. I don't know who exactly it was. I think it's interesting for NASCAR, and now they haven't announced this publicly. It's just Bianchi reporting it, but it's interesting for this to be out there now. Like, what's the incentive now for the city to come back and work on a deal? Hey, you're coming here anyways. Why do we need to give you any money? Our racetrack is just that damn good. Apparently, you're coming here for free. I think it has more to do probably with long-term. Like, I'm sure NASCAR would like to secure a more stable long-term future with Homestead Miami Speedway, even if it's not the championship date every single year, maybe every 2, every 3 years. The question will be, is that worth it then to the county or the city to spend the money on necessary renovations if you're not guaranteed the championship every season?
Yeah, that's the tough part too, is if you're not going to renovate it, what's kind of the point of keeping it around if you're just going to let it kind of fall to the elements? I mean, the last time it was renovated and changed in any big way was 2003, right before 2003, because that was the Bill Elliott, Bobby Labonte finish. And then, of course, you had it be the finale every year, all of that. But it's kind of just, you have to ask that question a little bit. Like, yeah, you kind of keep it to stay in the market. But if the city's already proven they can do a street race, why wouldn't you try maybe doing a street race or something like that? Like, that's a big question I got with it, because other tracks that might not get renovated, kind of like kind of like Charlotte or Vegas or any of them, like at least there's incentive to keep it long term. You're back, John. What do you
I'm
think
back.
about?
Sorry about that. I cannot. We're halfway in the boonies.
Well, I brought up the point of like, if they don't really renovate it, like how much staying power does Homestead have after? It's like, this is awesome that it's back, but this track hasn't really had any major upgrades like since the facelift in 2003.
No, and I think it's just the minor updates, right? Ally Beach, it's not called that now, but the beach is cool. You kind of have some things behind the scenes that are cool that I guess appeal to the South Florida crowd. There's not enough as of now to hold on to the championship. You have the championship. Let's be honest. Why? Phoenix isn't giving the best product. Homestead racing wise is giving a great product. I think it only has the championship because of the Reddick pass on the outside of 3 and 4. I honestly think that was the deal that sealed it. If you want it long-term, you're going to have to put butts in seats, and we're going to see come 27 if it can even do that. Because I didn't like the attendance numbers from this year. I get it's March, and we're all making the excuse. They just had a race recently. But I found out this stat when I went to the race in 2023. It was 600 days from their last race, 2022. From 2021 to 2022 is 600 days, and that place did not sell out. It was in October. It was a couple weeks before the championship, and it didn't sell out. Look at the attendance for Xfinity and Truck. I think the trucks this year were a little bit better because it was a night race on a Friday. It was nice. I think the weather was a little bit better. I think the Xfinity race crowd looked better than it was in recent years. I worry. I worry about the longevity, mainly because I'm a hardcore fan. Jared, I think you get this. Chicagoland fan, right? Danny, Nashville Super Speedway. Eric being with Texas Motor Speedway. We love our tracks. I think I'm overly critical of Homestead because how much I care about it. I hope this place sells out in 2026.
Yeah, I can see similarities between Homestead and my home track of Texas in that both mile and a halves, both built in the same era, and neither have seen meaningful renovations in over a decade, I would say. I mean, Texas,
me to it.
yeah, they've both taken seats out. Well, like with Texas, as I saw the attendance go from 200K when I first went to 100K to like 40K, and they started taking seats out. Big Hoss, the big screen on the back, started having panels go out. Like it felt like the place was not being kept up because it's honestly, I don't think they had faith in the facility's long-term future. I think there's a lot of the same skepticism around Homestead's long-term future. So I'm hopeful that, they're able to get a deal done, but I guess that's why I also am a little skeptical, unfortunately.
Right. And on the outside, it looks at least like promising. They have a couple guys in there right now that seem like they want to push it to the next level. They had a Formula E race, which I also question. They have a Formula E race. Can we get IndyCar there? Can IndyCar maybe come back? At one point, if I'm not mistaken, Homestead had the championship for all three big major American touring series before IMSA was IMSA. And you look at what they're trying to do. It seems great. I just hope the surrounding areas, the people that live in South Florida show up, because the people that I talked to when I went there last year, they were from Ocala. They drove down. They were from Palm Beach. They were from Fort Myers. Couldn't believe the amount of people that came in from Fort Myers. And if you know that area, it's not easy to go from Fort Myers down to Homestead. You have to get through the Everglades,
The Gators.
It's going to come down to those people that are in that 50 to maybe 30-mile range of the facility.
Semi-related question for John here. Scale of 1 to 10, how excited would you be if GTA 6 had its own version of Homestead in there?
Oh, I'd be ecstatic. Oh, man. I would be ecstatic. I would love Daytona. Honestly, I think if they would do it, it would be Daytona. But if they had their own Homestead, that'd be cool. They already have the keys, right? Might as well add Homestead. It's right there, the southernmost racetrack, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, John, I know that you got to get back in really quick. So real quick, I wanted, before you head out, what you got going on this week? I feel like our schedules align a little bit on Friday.
We do Alabama 500 last year. Oh my gosh, that event was insane. We're bringing it back this year. 43 drivers, $500, over $500 now in prize pool. The drivers are ready. I'm excited. Jarrett, we get to commentate another sim race, another 500-mile sim race without commercials.
Oh my God.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, my voice is going to be killing me on Saturday when we're moving stuff. But if you want a preview of the NWP 400, it's going to be different track, but same car. So you'll see very similar racing. And it's going to be really, really fun. No commercials. Our voices will be fried the next morning when we're moving stuff up to my apartment, but it'll be worth it. It'll be a lot of fun. Maybe you'll get a sneak peek into like who's commentating the 2030 Daytona 500 or something like that. It ain't going to be me.
I love that backhand comment.
All right, man. John, thank you for coming on. I know it was really like weird finagling with it and all. Go enjoy the night. Don't make too many stops in Goodlettsville tonight, and have a good one.
Yeah, John.
Thank you guys.
Later, man. Oh, inside jokes. Those are great. Well, that was the only track that made a little bit of headline when it came to Jordan Bianchi's reporting. And this is we're going to get full on. You can spam it in the chat. Reckless speculation time. Let's get on into it. Jordan Bianchi did his mailbag this past week, about a week or so ago. Might have been earlier this week. I'm losing track of the days and time. But there were three big things that caught our attention. And I want to save my favorite part of it for last. So we're going to start with, we can't save it for last. So we'll save the track part for last. Let's talk really quick about Trackhouse maybe going to Dodge based on how he was talking. He said it would make the most logical sense based on who he's talked to. So what do we think? I mean, we've thrown Trackhouse out there before as a possibility.
Yeah, I was like, I can't remember if we talked about this, but we've talked in the recent weeks about some of these, I don't want to call them second tier teams because any of these teams could win races. And we've seen even 2311 contend for a championship now. Trackhouse contended for a championship a couple of years ago. But the non-Hendrick, the non-Gibbs, the non-Penske teams, they've all built up their inventory. They're all 3-car teams now. Trackhouse, RFK, 2311, Legacy, Front Row. They're all 3-car teams. And I think that is them trying to establish a runway for a new OEM to fly on in here and make them their go-to tier 1 program. So, 2311's not leaving Toyota. They seem really ingrained in the Gibbs ecosystem. A lot of people say Roush, Fenwick, Keselowski's never leaving Ford. I don't believe that, but yes, as long as Jack Roush is involved with the team, that transition is unlikely. Sure. I think Legacy could be an option. I think Trackhouse absolutely could be an option. What makes Trackhouse so interesting is they have tendrils out there in all other forms of motorsports as well. They've done IMSA stuff. Obviously, they're in MotoGP. They talked about it, the Daytona 500. They had 4 drivers in the field from 4 different countries. They are a big international brand. I know Dodge is really trying to play up the USA rah-rah domestic pride angle. So I don't know if that makes the most natural marketing sense, but from an inventory, established team, deep pockets, I could absolutely see Dodge wanting to go with Trackhouse and Trackhouse wanting to go with Dodge. So they kind of get out of the shadow of Hendrick Motorsports potentially.
Well, despite their stepping away from NASCAR for the last few years, I still see Dodge as like one of the big 4 like U.S. auto manufacturers. Like if I was going to go buy, if I had to go buy a new vehicle today, I would probably look at a truck from Chevrolet, Ford, Toyota, and Dodge. Those are the big 4 in America I would look at right now.
I like the idea that because Trackhouse to me has plateaued a little bit. And
Oh yeah.
I don't think it's honestly surprising the more I think about it. And I will credit, I don't know who it was, but I will credit a few commenters on Reddit who kind of put it the way it is. If you kind of look at it this way, this is the remnants or the assets of Ganassi. And this team now is running like a higher end Ganassi NASCAR team would. You have that one guy who's generally better than the rest. And then you have the others that are kind of in the middle of the pack or so. And I think honestly, if it was a more experienced stock car driver, SVG's team would probably run around where Suarez's team runs. He's just not as good at the ovals. So they need to take that next step. And it does make logical sense. They would probably be the ones most likely that Dodge would go after. And at that point, it's up to Dodge to give them the assets that Ford gives Penske, Chevy gives Hendrick, and Toyota gives JGR. Like at that point, it's up to them. If they do, they'll be right up there with all 4 of those or all 3 of those teams.
It's all such a simulation game now too. I mean, that's how we saw even with Legacy becoming a tier 1 Toyota team, that alone did not make them competitive. Like Joe Gibbs Racing had the data. They had to build out their own notebook as a Toyota team. So any new OEM, I think year 1 is probably going to be woefully behind, frankly. Mm-hmm. So that's the only other thing is like what you said about Trackhouse having plateaued. I'd almost argue they're on the downslide in some regards. And with that being, knowing that, maybe they're willing to risk having another down year if it means the next year when they have a notebook and are more established. I mean, Toyota's first year in Cup was not good. Second, third, fourth year in Cup was very good. They added Gibbs and other great drivers into the fold, sure. But yeah, I think that's why you may not see a team like, I don't know, I'm trying to think, like obviously 2311 is not going to leave Toyota, but say they were considering leaving Toyota, I don't think they would because they're championship contenders right now. Why would you throw a year of that away to go risk it with another OEM? I think a team like Trackhouse or Legacy or feel like I'm forgetting another, maybe Spire is not going to leave Chevy. I don't think. I guess Legacy. I don't think Colleague has built themselves up yet. That's why they hired what's his face, Ty Norris to try and catch up to some of these other teams. I think so. I think Legacy and Trackhouse are the leading candidates to swap at this moment. And if I was an OEM, I'd pick Trackhouse out of those 2.
They're a lot more proven, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Now on the track front, what Jordan Bianchi brought up was talk about future schedules. So based on the sounds of it, there's not going to be too many massive swings on the 2026 schedule. And at that point, he said, basically, if there's any new tracks, the new track that'd be put on would be probably Chicagoland, based on the fact that would mean the Chicago Street Course contract, they didn't re-up for a 4th year, which is sounding like that's the direction it's going, but we don't know yet. We've heard that so many times, and then like, a month before the deadline, they're like, nah, we're good. We'll do it another year. So Chicagoland is the one, at least at the moment, that's most likely. He says it makes sense as a stopgap. Could keep its date though beyond 2026 if it gets it back. I will say, from what I know, and people I've talked to and know on this, NASCAR doesn't want to leave the Chicago area because they've already have the Southern California area knocked out at the moment. The New York area, like New York City area, there's no real lead in any way that that's going to happen. Chicago's the 3rd biggest market now behind those two in America. You got to be in one of those 3 big markets to be like a kind of legitimate mainline sports series and take those headlines. So I wouldn't be surprised, because based on what Bianchi said, it would cost less to completely renovate Chicagoland and make it a modern world-class facility than it would to keep the street race going another year or two. So what do you think the likelihood is? I honestly think it's higher than it's been in years past, but I think I'm biased though too.
I think it might be higher. So you see, if they get rid of Chicago, I would like for there to still be a street race somewhere on the schedule. And I know the talk has been San Diego, which I think he's also mentioned. And it sounds like there might be too many logistical hurdles to make that happen for next year, but maybe that's 2027, 2028. I would love to see a San Diego street race. I would love to see another street race in a market that NASCAR is currently not tapped into.
People have said Denver is a common one.
Sure. Yeah. I think somewhere in the mountain region, like Denver would be cool for sure. No, I think so.
A city like New Orleans would be a neat one to go to.
Yeah, if they
that
could
would
make
actually
that work.
be really interesting, honestly. Really quick, I want to address this. Wyatt, you're the first one I saw that put this. Chicagoland, I did have it confirmed to me. Chicagoland is not the one that would be repaved into a super speedway.
Yeah, we'd heard it. Yeah, we'd heard it probably wasn't going to be a NASCAR owned track. So yeah, I think that more than likely confirms it. No, so that's my only concern with Chicago is if they don't want to spend the 30 million or whatever it might cost to renovate it, if they instead would want to spend that money on a San Diego street race or another city street race. That's the only reason that it might get held back. But I mean,
that's what he gets into.
I think Chicagoland would be a really good race with this car. And you've been on this, Jarrett, knowing people there, like they've kept that. This isn't like
it's kept up.
It's not Rockingham until 2 years ago where it has weeds growing out through every crevice and has fallen into disarray. No, like Chicago, they could go run a race probably next month at Chicagoland. Would it be perfect? No, but
next
they could.
Month. What I was told is that if they were told that there was going to be a race, they could have 6 months of TLC and it'd be perfectly fine up to the standard of a current NASCAR race. But the thing is that like they've already put in stuff to kind of renovate some of the suites and press boxes. There's actually still work going on, hiring, at least based on the NASCAR account, hiring different event staff. There's been races there already. It's in way, I'll put it like this, a better comp. It's in way better condition right now than Kentucky is.
Yeah, that's a good comp. Yeah.
Like way better.
It's even better than the way Nashville Super Speedway was. When Nashville Super Speedway was announced, I was pretty fast to get a chance to get out there, and that track was pretty much ready to go too.
Yeah, I mean, and so I will say this: I would be more bullish on it happening, at least from there's no confirmation, by the way. I want to make it known. I did reach out and ask this, like, is this happening? And it's like, we don't know yet. So there is no confirmation on this.
And we're talking now 2019 Bowman's win. That was the last race there. So we're talking a difference of only 6 years since the last time they raced there.
Yep, 6 years.
So that's not that long, for they've still done a good job of not just letting it just go to crap out there.
It's in really great condition. On top of that too, I will say, I'll kind of pull my inner John on this one here when he talked about Homestead, about Chicagoland. If you go back to those shows in 2018 and 2019, I had said like they need to make some upgrades. The track definitely has, the age has shown there need to be upgrades. There need to be amenity upgrades in the infield, especially. I don't know if they have many. At least I know my area that I was at for like 7 or so years, and the last 7 years I went there was not electric either. Everyone had to bring their own generator, sunk in the mud, stuff like that. So like there's real stuff that does need to be done to make it a long-term deal. I think what's better, at least for it, is the fact that NASCAR wants to stay in the area. Multiple drivers have been at the track at times and have said like, we want this. Drivers have been saying it, industry saying it. So it's like, it does have a little force behind it. Now fans are behind it more and more. But that does lead into the San Diego street course talk. It sounds like the earliest that happens is 2027. It could mean Chicagoland is a stopgap year. Another rumor going around is it could take a spring Phoenix race away, because that race now for the first time hasn't sold out. And there were some noticeable gaps in the grandstands, even for the spring race this year. I think it all kind of just depends on what direction they can get the street race for San Diego going and where Phoenix goes and all that. I don't know what track they would take away from it, though, just because you do have to have a lot of those warm weather dates early in the season. I think, and real quick, I know I'm rambling. I would think a perfect way to do this, if you're going to keep the same TV way of going about it. So you Daytona first, right? You get your big race, starts the year as it always does. Atlanta's, I think, proven to be a pretty good second race. And then if you're going to have your first 3 Fox races, swap, maybe don't take it off the schedule, but swap Coda's date in the schedule and have that first road course be the San Diego street race. So you have 3 major marquee races right at the start of the year. You get that huge bang for your buck right at the start.
I like that. I definitely like covering both coasts, different styles of races, and big markets, marquee events right off the bat. I do like that. We'll see. I want a Chicago street race, or Chicago. I'm sorry. I want a San Diego street race. I think that'd be really cool.
I kind of liked my idea now of New Orleans. I want that one day.
Honestly, yeah.
I just want a street race in a big market that NASCAR doesn't currently tap into. And like I know San Diego's like part of Southern California, kind of, not really what we'd consider Southern California, but it's like that market is now untapped by NASCAR, and I think that would be cool.
I could just imagine the party, like Mardi Gras atmosphere of New Orleans would come out in full effect with a race there.
Well, now you're getting me on the New Orleans one. I want to try and stay on the San Diego one, but I really actually, at some point, especially if we have like a low
there's nothing
show, I would love to explore this.
There's no races that are near New Orleans, I guess, but what? Circuit of the Americas might be the closest?
Or Talladega, but yeah, it's probably.
So the San Diego one thing I thought of with the sports market, at least, is like there's a major vacuum in the San Diego sports market since the Chargers were taken by Spanos.
All the guys, the Padres. The Rockets are in Houston now and have been for a long time.
I mean, it might not get your big nationwide appeal that Chicago will. Like, Chicago is going to catch ears and eyes easily. But like locals at San Diego, if you treated them right, I would almost think that, if the deal is good enough, they might even with open arms be like, come on in. Like, we need a giant sporting event to showcase our city. Like, we only have the Padres. And I get the Padres are, at least from what I can tell, the Padres have been pretty good this year. But we don't have like that major marquee NFL team or NBA team, or like, we need a big event, and that could work for both the city even more and NASCAR, which would maybe mitigate the problems we had with the Chicago street race, where the city and so many people were just continuously complaining about it. The art, remember the art? It's going to ruin the art in the museum, the sound. Sorry,
Cam in the chat says San Diego is the birthplace of Southern California. I know it's further south than LA, but
it's like practically on the Mexico border.
I know. I just thought Southern California pertained only to LA. I guess I got that wrong. San Diego, y'all got to work on your branding. When I think SoCal, I think LA. Y'all got to step up.
They are way further south.
That's the thing. Like that could have a big major race like this, a big sporting event like that I think that could really help them, the sporting image for them at least. I don't know. I think it's actually a good idea. I just want to know like how it can be executed. I know it's also, I believe, a military city too, for the most part.
They have a Navy base. That's where Top Gun takes place.
That just writes itself, like who you can bring there and all that. I'd be down as long as it doesn't. If Chicagoland comes back, just don't take my track away again, please. I've already lost Rockford Speedway.
I went to San Diego.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, oddly enough, I'm just seeing historic racetrack aerials on Twitter 53 minutes ago. Posted a picture and said pics of tracks on a 2026 Cup Series schedule that go hard, Chicagoland Speedway. So basically, he's going all in on it being on the schedule.
I won't get my hopes up until I get it proven by somebody who I know is in the know. I've got my hopes up before. I'm gonna wait. I'm positive on it, and I'm very very positive on it. But I'm in the boat of like I'm gonna wait and see. But Eric, you were gonna say something real quick.
I was just gonna say I went to San Diego last year for the first time ever, and it was my cousin's bachelor trip, and he's a big fan of the movie Top Gun Maverick and the original Top Gun. So we went to a bar in San Diego that they apparently filmed one of the iconic scenes from the original Top Gun. I've not seen the original 1980s Top Gun. But it was cool because they had like done it all up with all sorts of old Top Gun memorabilia, preserved some of the spots where I guess they shot some of the iconic scenes. Anyway, so to answer, yeah, San Diego is definitely a military city, and now they have a kind of a big pop culture phenomenon on the resurgence.
Well, I think that'll get through the reckless speculation segment. Let's get to some of the fun ones really quick. We can probably roll through the prediction segment very quickly. Let's get to it. Predictions here. Each host will make 2 NASCAR, motorsports, or show-related predictions. Can be about the hosts. Even we'll probably, knowing the week it is, we'll probably bend those rules a bit. Predictions will be kept track of each week in our accountability sessions, and we will also try and keep them relatively concise within a few years. Something that's quantifiable in some way. Generally, let's go to the accountability. For me, mixed bag. I said that Homestead would be host the 2026 finale weekend.
Seems like a good call.
I'm going to take Jordan Bianchi's word for it, as I know that they haven't released the schedule, but
if he's proven to be wrong, we'll just take away a point from you.
Yeah,
we'll take away 2 points.
I made that one, by the way, I believe last year. So, for those being like, "Oh, you just made that because you found it." No, I made it a little bit ago. I might have doubled up on it on accident. I did say Casey Kane would lead at least 1 lap at Rockingham. Everyone called it a layup. I said it wasn't. I was proven right, unfortunately.
You were proven right and wrong in the same segment.
Yeah. Eric said there would be 9 or more cautions in the Xfinity race. There were 14.
Yes. Those repaves are sketchy. I figured.
You said Casey Kane would score a top 5 at the Rock. He was running.
He qualified top 5.
You also said a driver would appear in a bunny costume at the Rock. We both looked all over social media and did not find one.
I was looking a little bit during the weekend. I haven't looked since, but I didn't see anybody in a bunny costume. Chat, let me know if we missed someone. Tell me who to look up.
And then Danny, nothing off the board this week.
That's fine.
Think of the positive, less red than the rest of us.
Yep, that's very true.
Looking at the percentages, I'm at 38.09 on the year, Eric at 31.09, and Danny at 26.09. Look at that.
09.
Oh, God. What were you guys doing in 09?
Nothing.
Getting through high school.
I think I was in 6th grade. I think I just got in contacts in 09. I'd wore glasses before that.
I did not watch a single NASCAR race in 2009. I don't remember exactly why. Well, no, I remember some of why, but I didn't see Kenseth win the Daytona 500 that year. I found out about it 2 days later.
I watched a lot of NASCAR, and it hurt.
Yeah, us junior fans, it hurt. And to be honest, after those 2 wins, Kenseth was pretty mediocre that year too. It was not a good year for any of us.
I think he missed the chase that year.
He did. Him and Kyle Busch both did to Brian Vickers.
Kyle Busch is still baffles me. He won a lot of races that year, and of course won the nationwide championship, but wasn't consistent.
Nope. What has been consistent is me all time. I'm at 41.59%, Eric at 31.62, and Danny at 30.08.
Tough.
So we'll keep track of those all year long. I did this last year. I think I'm gonna make this a yearly thing. I'm gonna predict each of who our teams are gonna draft. So I'm going to say the Titans draft Cam Ward. the Texans draft Tyler Booker, and the Vikings draft Gray Zabel. Now, off the record, I don't think the Vikings stay at the spot they're at now. I think they trade back.
Who is Tyler Booker?
He's a guard for Alabama.
All right, offensive lineman.
Yeah, I remember that name.
You all need an offensive line because I think you got like 2 Vikings that were mediocre at best, and
we got Laramie Tunzel out of the room. That just saved us probably 100 yards and false start penalties throughout the season.
that was like 50 of those came against the Vikings alone. It was like 4 straight plays. I was like, he did it again.
So
I think he just false started again as we were recording this.
since we're on this subject, I will say a lot of Titans fans have a lot of excitement about the Cam Ward pick. A lot of Titans media have started comparing his size and athletic ability to being very similar to Steve McNair. And we're just really excited to be getting away from Will Levis finally.
What do you have against Mayonnaise?
I don't have anything against Mayonnaise. Obviously, I'm a Dell Jr. fan, and I think they have a great ambassador in him. But the thing is, we can't even trade the guy. Who wants him? We can trade him to the UFL for a bag of Doritos.
Damn. Can the NFL trade with the UFL? Is that allowed?
I mean, probably not.
Not. But we'd make an exception for Mayo, man. Eric, what's your first prediction?
My first prediction, we're going to Talladega. I believe that this is kind of a 2-for-1 here, so I'm taking an extra risk. I believe that an RCR car will lead the most laps on Saturday, while simultaneously a Penske car will lead the most laps on Sunday. So the classic dominant plate drivers and teams are going to dominate once again. Will they finish there? Who knows? But they're going to lead the most laps.
So thankfully, you didn't completely take away my ability to do my first prediction here. I was going to say Jarrett will have to do math, but it's easy. It's fairly easy math.
Okay.
RCR will lead 70% or more laps in the Xfinity race. So that could be between either of the 2 drivers.
Okay, so total.
Yeah, so
okay,
their combined laps led between Love and Hill will account for 70% or more of that race.
Okay, I'm gonna try and write it down in case I forget. Okay, I'm gonna do this one. I'm gonna predict that Ford sweeps the polls for the Xfinity and Cup races this weekend. That they get the pole for both of them. I think the Cup one should be pretty good, though. Toyota did win the Daytona 500 one, though not to any lack there of controversy. But yeah, I'll go Ford.
I could see someone like Todd Gillen randomly getting the pole for this one.
Here comes Michael McDowell avenging his 2024 6-pole season.
I've got an interesting stat for y'all. There have been 6 Talladega wins in the Generation 7 car. 6 Talladega races won by 6 different drivers for 6 different teams. So my prediction is that a 7th team will win the 7th Gen 7 Talladega race. So that means it could be a Joe Gibbs Racing car. They've not won here in this car. Could be a Legacy car, Front Row, RFK, Spire, among a few others I don't have written down or know off the top of my head. So we'll keep track of that. But that's my prediction, is that a new team. So not Hendrick, not Penske, not JTG Doherty because of Ricky Hayek. I'm sorry.
Not RCR.
Not RCR. I'm predicting it'll be another new team wins. Yeah, it could be the Wood Brothers. Some of the Wood Brothers said, yeah, it could be Wood Brothers. They would count.
You'll have to DM me about that after the Cup race.
I'll let you know. Yeah, I will. Don't worry.
He's gonna be a big fan of like a AJ Allmendinger or something like that.
Hi. Hi.
Let's see here.
I'm
gonna go ahead and get this one in before.
Holy crap!
It happened
That was
again.
so scary.
Yeah, you went quiet, and then all of a sudden you just wiped your face, and you talked during it.
It was so scary. It was like, Danny, you're like kind of still, and all of a sudden it was. It's just terrifying.
That's funny. That's funny. Okay. Anyways, if NASCAR does indeed throw the fun flag at North Wilkesboro, the driver in the lead at that time will not win the All-Star race.
Ooh. So fun flag leader equal no win Wilkesboro.
Someone said Danny looking like bad AI. That's right. I am AI. I've always been AI.
Danny AI talks.
Someone's blaming my internet. How could it be my internet?
I love how they've been like blaming our internet.
Listen to the Bowman fan. He knows best.
What the heck?
I will say, and I can't make this prediction, after this weekend anyway. So I can say the other prediction I had for the weekend that I didn't use was that we will see someone throwing a beer can onto the racetrack at some point in the Xfinity or Cup broadcasts. But I didn't want to. I like the Ford sweeping the pole one just because there's a little fun in that one without somebody getting hit in the head with a full can of beer. By the way, and I don't want to like plug it too much here, but we are on the channel. We're 5 subs away from 86K. Can we get there by the end? I'm daring you, chat.
I mean, guys, if you want to, that's fine. You don't have to. We're not saying you need to, but it would be nice if you guys could do it. I haven't had a reason to gaslight you guys in so long, so it's not that I want to do this, but I just feel like if it's the least you guys could do.
Maybe they'll do it while you guys can't see the chat because we are now on to the random driver of the week. It's perfect. You gaslit right before we got to it.
Bye, chat. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Yep. Goodbye.
And I'm going to keep them on right here just so that I can
watch. I finally realized that on YouTube Live, there's a way to just hide the chat and don't have to minimize the tab. So I like that I finally figured out that ability.
Nice. All right. We are at a deadlock, gentlemen. 20-20. Danny and Eric tied. And,
this isn't rigged, guys. The chat. This isn't rigged. This is just genuinely we somehow end up like right on each other at all times.
Hey, I've made like this like the last couple. I actually found the facts and everything way in advance and didn't even think about it. Like I actually looking today, I almost put this random driver in the list thinking like, oh, we've already done that one. And I'm like, oh crap, we haven't. I don't want to spoil it for them. So yes, there is no rigging to it. There's just a lot of fun. In the last 5, Eric has gotten 3. He got Sheldon Creed last week, and then Tim Flock and John Hunter Nemechek. Danny got 2 in a row between Flock and Creed, those being Cuckoo Marlin and Rob Moroso. So they're already guessing in the chat. I love it.
Have they gotten it right?
I haven't seen it yet. This random driver is a Pensacola, Florida native. Florida.
Okay, it's not John Ramos.
This random driver's father raced late models. Nothing yet. No breaking the records this week.
Ross Kenseth. That's an actual guess.
No. So
he lives in Pensacola. I think he lives in Pensacola.
This is how
he from Pensacola.
Well, but I didn't know how Jarrett was using the term native. I believe he lives somewhere near Pensacola. Dang. I actually thought I might have had a chance with that one.
You caught me. I didn't have it ready to ding you on it. I had to just say it. This random driver started racing at the age of 8.
Youngin.
Mm-hmm. This random driver was the 2008 late model track champion at 5 Flags at the age of 16.
Okay, 2008. So they would be doing some math. Beep, boop, boop, beep, boop, boop, boop. 33 today.
This random driver was the 2010 Snowball Derby winner.
Oh my gosh, I wish I knew.
That should be a dead giveaway. And my Snowball, I think Eric Jones won it in like 2012. It wasn't Jones, but it's like, and I know he's not from Pensacola.
Yeah, he's definitely not from Florida.
But like, my knowledge of the Snowball does not go past like 2012.
This random driver actually spun Landon Castle with 15 to go for the winning pass.
That's
and that Snowball Derby.
Yes. Would you like to hear the names of drivers this random driver beat in that race?
Oh, I bet it's a big list.
Castle, of course. Bubba Pollard, Grant Enfinger, David Reagan, Ryan Sieg, and Chase Elliott.
Ooh. Chase Elliott won the snowball in like 2013 or 14?
I thought it was 2012.
Maybe his was 2012 and Jones was like 2011 or 2013.
None of us have posted on X about this random driver. No posts.
Oh, that's interesting.
That does not bode well for me.
It's making me think that their career didn't get too high up the ladder.
This random driver raced these numbers. Ready? Get your pads and papers out.
I'm ready.
Ready?
Yes.
03, 15, 19, 20, 25, 70, and 97.
Making me think they stopped at JGR.
This doesn't feel like this feels like we're already at the car numbers. Makes me think we don't have that many more clues.
We have 20 total clues.
Okay, that's
wow.
About halfway there.
These numbers just don't stand out enough to me.
Fortunately, there's only like 7 or 8 of them, so it's not like just a salad of numbers.
This random driver raced 2 manufacturers, Chevy and Toyota.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
The majority of this random driver's career was racing for the family team.
The family team.
Hmm.
Trying now to think of a family that would have had one of these numbers.
That's a good hint. Thank you, Danny.
This random driver actually made a start for Obica.
Oh, that's the 97.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
This random driver's best truck finish was 11th. But we're closing in on the last couple, so.
Oh my gosh.
This random driver's best Xfinity finish was 12th 3 times. So no top 10s.
Tough. So close so far.
This random driver was publicly endorsed by Jeff Burton to be given a cup ride.
Harrison Burton. Final answer.
I guess.
No, I'm just kidding. No.
This random driver never made it to Cup.
Oh.
Yeah, it didn't sound like it.
This random driver also never could fully secure a full season of funding while racing in NASCAR. This random driver is largely considered by the fan base as a driver that never got a fair shot. This random driver rarely races at any level anymore.
And he's only 33?
If you did your math right, then yes.
Did I do? Oh, shoot, I'm lost. Okay.
I got one clue left. This random driver retired from NASCAR racing to have a family.
Johanna Long.
Danny?
Ooh, that's probably it. Yeah, good job.
Correct. Danny takes the
I started thinking about her time, and I was like, I don't think
The
it's a
70
guy at
car
all.
should have been a dead
The
giveaway.
70
Dang it.
was what gave it away. I thought about it for long enough.
Oh,
Technically,
that's
I
good.
could ding you by saying it's actually now Johanna Robbins.
Okay.
That's half a point. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm kidding.
But that's funny that we kept thinking guy the whole time.
Yeah, shoot, I literally just said he.
Yeah, as soon as you said that, I'm just like, okay,
Yeah, that shows you how far off I
Like
was.
I had it figured out before you said start a family, but the second it came out of your mouth, I was like Johanna Long.
That was good. I should have got that one. I'm annoyed. Good
Almost
play
got
there,
you.
Danny.
Almost got you guys. All right. Let's get on into Talladega, shall we? One of the weekend notes I want to have, we're not going to cover this race in the preview, but Cletus McFarland will be racing in the ARCA event Friday night, or afternoon, I should say.
I was gonna say it's not a night.
And I think I saw NASCAR's YouTube channel, I believe, is going to be live streaming his in-car again because they had pretty huge turnout when they did that at Daytona.
So knock on wood that he does well. Let's look at it first at the Xfinity race on Saturday, the Ag Pro 300, 113 laps, 25, 25, 63 starting. Those are the stages starting at 4 p.m. Eastern time on the CW, MRN, and Sirius XM with the radio call. The purse is $1,651,939. Defending winner Jesse Love. The weather looking iffy. 83 degrees, afternoon thunderstorms looking more and more likely. 40% chance of rain at the moment, though that has increased, at least based on the National Weather Service. The Cup race is the Jack Links 500. Are we gonna be messing with Sasquatch on Sunday?
Not if you value your limbs.
Y'all remember those commercials? Those are great. Like I always look forward to those. Jack Links Beef Jerky presents Messing with Sasquatch. 188 laps as always. 60, 60, 68 are the stages. 3 p.m. Eastern time start time on Big Fox, the last Big Fox race of the year
Ever. Sorry.
You got people's hopes up, Eric. And the last network broadcasted race on the big normal networks until Daytona in August. So, or ARCA Saturday. Okay, this shows how much I care. They're going to wreck anyway. Fox and the Fox Sports app, MRN and Sirius XM with the call. $11 million and $55,250 as well is the purse. Weather 85, partly cloudy, some pop-up storms possible, but only a 20% chance of rain. Tyler Reddick, your defending winner. And now, guys, let's get to it. It is time for the pick points. Eric with 160, now leading Danny, who has come up to second, -7. Chat -8. I lost 1 point on the weekend, -17. Now I'm basement boy.
Y'all remember only a couple weeks ago when I had that epic collapse after taking the lead, and now I keep finding a way to stay in this stuff.
That's me now. I'm the one collapsing. I'm the collapsee, if you will.
I'm trying to block 3 lanes at once out front here, but the draft is keeping y'all
is
close to me.
Not the best track to be going into like this.
Yeah, I know. But I will survive. Let's start with the Xfinity picks this week. Who is going to win the Xfinity race? Our guest earlier, old John Player Ramos, he did give me his picks for this weekend. And his pick for the Xfinity race is Brandon Jones.
Oh, I did not have him. Wow.
Neither did I.
I can't believe he left them on the board.
I'm going to say this.
Right?
I'm going to say this. You know, I think that there's 2 choices now left on the board that are obvious for me. I think he breaks through. I think the big bully wins at Austin Hill. There's so many ways he's lost this race. That car at Daytona was an ungodly fast. I mean, I know the 2 was fast after the fact. That 21 was on another level. And had they not had that, I mean, they were leaking oil onto the tires and still led like 10 to 20 laps after that. Or grease or whatever the hell it was, fluid. So.
Well, I think Chat is taking the other Childress car.
Yep.
Love.
Damn.
Which means I got to go with my number 3 pick. It's one of the few tracks he got a cup win at. I'm going to take Eric Almirola.
Ooh, good one.
Dang. All right. I'm going to take a little bit of a risk here. Give me Sam I Am Mayer.
Ooh.
He and Sheldon worked pretty well together at Daytona. They ran top 5 most of the night. I think they both finished up in there too. So I like the speed he's had.
Had I needed him, Sheldon Creed was my other pick. It would have been at least points, probably.
That's 3 brings up a good point. I think that's how you say it. John didn't take Eric Almirola. Damn.
I know, right? He gave him to me.
I'm betting you he didn't know he was racing this weekend.
Probably.
And I'm totally going to tell him that on Saturday. I'm going to be like, hey, or Friday. I'm like, hey, by the way, Eric's racing this weekend. All right, let's get into.
And I already know his answer. Bro, I didn't know that.
Bro. What's like that old TikTok? Bro. Let's get into the suck picks for the Cup race. Listen, I know this guy can be pretty quick. I know he's won here before. I know everyone's going to want him to win for sentimental reasons, but I'm picking Kyle Busch.
Oh.
Chat. Are they just going
Chat's
Kyle
going-
Larson?
They're going the other Kyle, and so am I. I'm also going Kyle Larson.
Yeah, I was leaning towards Larson, but now that feels unoriginal and uninspired. So I will go not Chastain, sorry, Suarez. Struggled at Atlanta, which I know is not that similar, but like I was expecting a lot more. Didn't show it to me.
Okay. Well, that
That's
gets us
fair.
to the dark horse picks where I'm going to pick Kyle Larson because that 5 team has actually been surprisingly up front more and more on super speedways lately. And where they got Briscoe? Nope, they're still picking their suck picks. Come on, y'all, get with the program.
Pick up the pace.
Catch up.
And we're still sitting at like the 4 or 5 range away from 86K. So no, I think we're
Here
maxed
they
out.
come. Here they come.
Inconclusive.
It's all over. It's just like I would expect it.
Seeing a
Talladega.
lot of Spire numbers. Seeing McDowell. I'm also seeing Hosabar.
What I'm
seeing a
not
little-
seeing much of. Actually, I'm seeing a few Eric Joneses. I remember, guys, Legacy, all 3 with Jimmy included, finished top, I think, 12 at Daytona.
That's right.
And we know Eric Jones is a solid super speedway racer historically. I would have said Eric Jones is my dark horse.
That's the thing, is like they're so choppy. I saw more 71s than anything. I don't really care enough to run pole.
I'm seeing the 8 as well. You know, I'm actually seeing the 8 more, and I'm seeing the 71 now. In all honesty.
So I love this. Oh, where'd it go? The username here. I just hear Adam Alexander.
Cool. But yeah.
Cool.
I'll just let one of you guys decide, Kyle Busch or 71. I'm seeing those 2 the most.
Give McDowell his redemption after last year.
Are we sure? Because I'm seeing more 8s now.
Okay, fine. Yeah, it's under. I mean, yeah, that's fine.
They just can't pick him for the win pick. So it's Kyle
Yeah.
Busch. Danny, you're up.
I forgot I hadn't gone yet. Stenhouse.
Yeah, I can see that.
I like he can win, and then like he's like the stereotypical NASCAR underdog. If any underdog is going to somehow sneak out a win, it's probably him.
Yeah. And hike.
And I said Jones earlier. That's
All
my
right.
underdog.
Which leads us now to asking who is going to win the Cup race, the Jack Links 500 at Talladega.
Who is going to fight Bigfoot in victory lane?
They get his head as a trophy if they win.
Okay, that's kind of morbid, but
morbid facts. John picks Ross Chastain, a fellow Florida man.
I actually had him on my list.
So
I did not.
I got my 2 number 1 picks. So I can't, if I do bad this weekend, it's all on me, which is probably going to happen. I'm going William Byron. That 24 team has been the most solid and consistent super speedway team in the last 5 races at Talladega, Daytona. And
that was definitely one of the ones that the chat wanted, but I think it's pretty obvious who they're going with.
Yeah, they're going with the 12. I see. So they're going with my picks. Former, I don't know, in-law is not the right word. Interesting situation there. Danny, who you got?
Well, that was my 1 and 2 gone. So my number 3 pick, we'll go with him. Been a minute since he went to victory lane, but he's done it a lot and won the last race like this. Christopher Bell.
I wasn't sure. Bell's sneaky good super speedway numbers recently. My top 2 are off the board, and then I was kind of undecided from 3rd on back. I had Chastain in the mix. That was taken. I'll throw out some other names. I had Austin Cindric, Joey Logano, obviously lead a lot of laps, but they don't typically get the finishes for one reason or another. Denny Hamlin, I mean, he was up front at the end of the Daytona 500, maybe. I'm really tempted to say Kyle Busch. He was in this mix as well.
I had him as my number 4. I can't lie to you.
We ride Kyle Busch. Let's make it
right.
happen.
Eric taking Kyle Busch in the big 2025. Oh,
Well, didn't you have something about RCR needing to do something in both races anyways?
Oh, I had RCR and Xfinity. I had
I thought
something
you had
else
stuff for both races.
I had Penske leading the most laps in the Cup race, but like I said,
Okay.
Logano and Cindric don't seem to get the finishes for some reason. So,
And then of course we have the real hard hitting question. What not Ty Dillon?
hey, Ty Dillon's doing a good job this year. We got to lay off the guy. He's doing solid.
He needs to keep not getting top 10s because I do have a prediction on the line for that.
He ends up like 11th his way into the rest of the year. All right. Well, guys, that's going to do it for the Talladega segment, which I believe means we get to the final Super Chat stage break, which the last one we had was from Scrapyard, I believe. So we're back to...
I can monitor them as you go.
Yeah, we're at Bailey or Eichert with the 5 here saying if you can't qualify on speed, you shouldn't buy a spot. That needs to be a rule, in my opinion, going forward. Well, part of that too is that she was top 38 in speed. If we're talking about Catherine Legg here,
You could argue the driver did make it on speed. It was the car that didn't have enough owners points.
Yes. So maybe it's an owner point problem.
Yeah.
Andrew Winslow says the locale of the week is William Sawalich for losing to a kid in ARCA and crashing. His punishment: drive Talladega blindfolded.
Oh,
and
that sounds like a punishment for everyone else.
Fitting that you have Sheev there. I'm going to see Revenge of the Sith basically at this time tomorrow night. So Riss and I are going. Corbin says, how long does Sawalich have left before he's in a Dylan Kwasniewski type of situation?
How much money does Starkey make? That's the real question.
Rough. It has been I didn't realize just how rough until people pointed it out. Like I think Joey Gase was the first one that really pointed it out on Twitter, and we're like, holy Jesus. Justin Drake says that sponsorship TV time is like the Arby's Rick Ware car last year at Bristol. There it is, and there it goes. That's right. When we're like, I think that car is still running laps at Bristol trying to get to the 500 lap mark. Thank you, Corbin, for being a new member as well. I appreciate it. And yeah, there you go. Andrew says, are you seeing Revenge of the Sith on Friday, Jarrett? Yeah, I'm seeing it on Thursday. They're showing it Thursday and
midnight screening.
9 p.m. So if there's enough commercials beforehand, maybe a midnight ending.
Which theater is it at? So I can buy the seats right next to you and Riss and just awkwardly third wheel.
Don't tell us.
Don't actually.
You don't even have to. That's the thing. You don't even know which one I would choose.
Mm-hmm.
What really quick before I read the super chat, what is your preferred spot to sit in the theater?
Like middle, I would say.
Middle and towards the top.
Yeah, you got to be at least a few rows up.
For me, I like the top row, and I like all the way at the end to where me and whoever's with me, this time being Riss, can just get up and walk straight down and to the exit. That way, if I need to go to the bathroom, I can sprint and then get there and back. Or if I have to go get popcorn, I can run in there and back.
Why are you doing everything but watch the movie?
Well, sometimes I got to pee, man. Sometimes I need my popcorn.
I need popcorn. Yeah.
Hey, sometimes you got to get popcorn before. Sometimes you got to sneak chicken in. We haven't talked about chicken yet. Maybe I'll sneak some chicken in tomorrow night.
Oh, there you go.
Was that a Minecraft reference? We're so cooked.
Not that chicken. Not that chicken. Yeah, I shouldn't go too far. Alex. That's the thing, man. I was like,
Jarrett's about to start a tangent. Let's throw up the next graphic.
Keep throwing them up. Alex for the 20 says, also, this week was WrestleMania, and boy, did that suck. John Cena cheating Cody Rhodes, Dominic Mysterio winning the IC championship, and worse of all, my guy Randy Orton wasting his WrestleMania to a walking meme. Danny, that's your jurisdiction.
Put it back up, and I'll give you context for everything. Yeah. So John Cena winning, first of all, deservingly becoming the new record, the all-time record holder for the most times as the WWE champion. He's now been champion 17 times, finally surpassing Ric Flair's record he was tied with since 2016 at 16. So now he's at 17. But he won it, of all ways, by Travis Scott showing up and distracting Cody Rhodes and ultimately that helped give John Cena the edge he needed to win. Travis Scott was at Elimination Chamber a few months ago with The Rock. The Rock never showed up to WrestleMania, and it's just leaving wrestling fans all confused of how we got to this point. Dominic Mysterio is just a very he's a very good heel to the point that he's very much despised by wrestling fans, and so it was interesting. It's good that he won his first kind of bigger title. And then Randy Orton wrestled Joe Hendry. He's the TNA champion, but he's the guy you'll see him on Twitter. It's a whole other wrestling organization. But he's the guy who become a meme like say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. So that's the background for him. He was supposed to have a match of Kevin Owens. He's unfortunately out due to neck surgery, and so they had to get a last-second match for him. So they didn't want to waste any of the WWE talent. So they brought in the I believe in Joe Hendry.
Danny, when you went
that's
he,
the walking meme. Okay.
When you went he, it roboted for a second. So you went he.
That's funny.
Perfect, but it didn't miss a thing you said either. That was like what made it even funnier. Is like it went perfect from there.
When you need wrestling context, I'm the guy for it on this show.
Seconded. Corbin with the 20 here says, thinking back to Daytona, no one really talked about how Ryan Preece's car bounced off the wall like a ping pong ball and didn't crush in any of the front nose. These cars need to crush more to absorb the energy.
Just flash back to 2022, but I mean, yeah, the car's definitely still a little firm.
Just a little bit. Tay Dog says, I'm going to Talladega for the second time this weekend, and we're going to be camping out. Any recommendations, things I should know, or places to go? Okay, don't post anything online.
Careful where you look.
The races in the infield are not with cars. Yeah. If somebody comes up to you with a shirt off and whipped cream, make a decision, according to Randy the Plumber. That is a pull. That is a 2020 pull. That's 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's a throwback right there.
Just enjoy the boulevard.
If you see powdered sugar and no donuts, it's not powdered sugar.
PC 108 says, or 10.8 says, thank you, NWP crew, for creating something for me to look forward to in a week where I unfortunately lost one of my best friends. The grief has been difficult, but having this to look forward to helped. Well, we're happy to help with that, and we're sorry for your loss.
Yeah, deepest sympathies.
Sorry for your loss.
That's terrible, but I'm glad that we can bring something good to you.
And by the way, you always have one of the coolest profile pictures. That train is very fascinating.
Danny's been able to hit on everything tonight. WWE, NASCAR, trains.
Hey, I am the one that appeals to the people who have what is usually considered the weird interests. I am that guy. I understand. I get it.
I'm the dinosaur guy.
Hey, and this is my football team right here on this next one.
For Bobby Blair with the 10 saying, Frieson's team used to have a GMS alliance when he competed for championships. They parted ways in 2020. I'm assuming that's why his performance has dropped off.
That would make sense. That would definitely have a role.
By the way, Bobby Blair is he's going to be in the next couple after Rowdy Diecasts, who says, speaking of trucks, excited to go to Lime Rock and New York City. Nice.
Fun trip. Have fun.
I believe that's a big Fox race too.
Oh, yeah.
Bobby Blair says, NFL drafts tomorrow night. Give me an offensive lineman so my quarterback doesn't die. Please and thank you. Hey, I predicted it.
Hey, CJ Stroud is on my hit list right now. I saw him the other night fraternizing with Steph Curry and some of the Golden State Warriors courtside. He needs to chill with that. He plays for the Houston Texans. None of that Steph Curry camaraderie. But yeah,
he could be heading to the West Coast.
They're gonna give Brock Purdy his money. He's staying out of the Bay Area. Keeps CJ in Houston.
The Cubs beat the Dodgers again. Nice.
I love that.
I will say, I've seen some news that supposedly George Kittle might actually want to go to the Titans, so I thought that was interesting.
Did you all see the video? I quote tweeted it that Dodgers fans tried to invade Wrigleyville. They're like,
Saw
let's
that.
go Dodger, all that. And they had like freaking flags and shit. And then they lost
Yep.
yesterday and tonight. Best
That's
team,
great.
my ass.
It's funny. I'm not much of a baseball person, but those are the only two teams I have a hat for: the Dodgers and the Cubs.
You better get a Nashville White Sox hat soon.
I know what I'm getting you for your birthday, Danny.
Danny's gonna have all the hats, and there will be like people are gonna come to his house. Who do you root for? Oh, I don't care.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, I've gone to a game at Wrigley. I've gone to a game at the Braves Stadium. I've gone to a game at Dodger Stadium. Since there is no team that's any closer than 3.5 hours away, I just say go baseball.
Go sports ball. Bobby Blair with the 5 says speed. I am speed. Float like a Cadillac, sting like a Beamer.
Good line.
And Gavin Adcock with the 33-month member chat saying, going to my second Talladega race. Let's go, number 5. He might be better than people think. Fred Dog for the 5 says, stupid question. There are no stupid questions until they're stupid. If you could steal any car and drive around Dega like that one drunk fan, what car would it be? Would you go street car or race car? Oh, ooh, that's good. That's very good. That's not a stupid question.
That's a good one.
That's a really good one. I would want the yellow Camaro from Transformers playing What I've Done, and then it's gonna be that scene right before I hit the blockade of cop cars, because there's no way I'm going to Talladega jail. I ain't making it.
That's a great answer. I don't think I could top that answer. I'm trying to think.
What
Something
I've
fast.
done.
I'd want to take advantage of the wide open spaces and go fast.
Yeah, heck, give me a Ferrari to take around Talladega and see what happens.
West Virginia for the 5 says, we're proud to announce that Rodney Childers is going to join Legacy Motor Club as president of crew chiefs in 2026. Jimmy Johnson, probably.
That's so funny.
You're just gonna keep making up stuff to get more and more past their prime people there.
I will say I don't remember what his profile picture was before this, but randomly Rodney Childers did change his profile pic to just him and his wife like at the beach chilling out. So maybe this is an indication that he's not going anywhere anytime soon right now.
I just find it kind of funny because Auto Racing Analytics is coming on in 2 weeks and he works with them. We should ask, is there any steam to this rumor we totally didn't just make up?
We should ask, what's your new title? Like, what do they call you now? CEO of data.
Crew chief of analytics.
Yeah.
VGWX Chasing for the 10 here says, I'm going to Dega this weekend for the first time. My sister is doing a pre-race dance performance with the University of Alabama, so I'm excited to get to watch her perform as well as some racing. Sounds like you guys as a family got an awesome weekend planned together. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at your weekend. I'm still laughing at the Rodney Childers.
President of crew chiefs.
It's not that funny. I swear to God. No, don't put it back.
It's
on
kind
the
of funny.
screen.
Okay, sorry.
It's funny as hell. That's the problem. Grizzly Industry. When Cito makes his like top whatever list of funniest moments, it's gonna be me crying at this damn super chat. That's gonna be on there. I swear. I hope he adds this part to it. Oh man, the multiple lights is not helping at all for me looking any less red. Grizzly Industries for the 10 says, do any of y'all watch Tow Car, and would any of y'all cover it as a parody? Just joined the stream and wanted to ask. Also, let's go Cletus McFarland.
I think I've seen it here and there. It's just I don't really get too much into that kind of stuff.
I've seen it in passing, but I can't say that I'm like know what's going, anything. If you ask like, hey, do you know this about it? I wouldn't. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not familiar, unfortunately.
Maybe we should put a clip out on April Fool's when you're covering something random on the NWP channel. Fred Dog 81 for the 10 says, with the lack of land in Miami has for homes, do you worry long-term NASCAR might try to downsize and sell land around Homestead like it did with Fontana if it doesn't get the crowds it wants?
I mean,
yeah, maybe.
but the land's down there is not necessarily usable.
Yeah, I don't know how valuable that land in particular is, but
Like
generally speaking,
if
yes.
you look at the general area where Homestead is at, it's nothing but farms. That's why there were so many wildfires that like their crops were
Yeah.
on fire back earlier this year. There's nothing there. There's no reason to need to sell all that land right
It's
now.
certainly not as dense as Fontana is. That's for sure. But I don't really know.
Ooh, Justin Drake with the poll here says
Oh.
for the 10. He's right here.
My bad.
Nope. There it is. Update found that Ryan Newman will drive the number 7 late model for Matt Piercy Racing, who has a developmental deal with Spire.
Oh, this Ryan Newman up and coming kid might end up in maybe he'll be in the 7 car in a few years.
Maybe if Legacy finds that they can be promoted to president of race car drivers.
God damn it. Stop. It's not that funny. I don't know why it's hitting my funny bone that much. West Virginia's back, by the way, for the 10 or 5.
The dagger.
San Diego probably happens in 2027 just because we know Phoenix has 2 dates in 2026, and it would be a perfect time to get rid of a Phoenix date. God,
Sure.
we only hope so. Justin Drake with the nope, not that one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There's 2 for Justin Drake. Eric, LA seems to claim all of SoCal, but it is just a city of overpaid astronauts and snobby influencers.
Astronauts.
I saw somebody bring up a point like that. To go into space, you have to wear all of this protective gear, right? And
This is about the Katy Perry thing.
Yeah, and that like they never wore any of the protective gear. And stuff, and people are like, "Is this just a Hollywood production or something?"
I mean that's why a lot of people the day it happened, I called it. I was like, there is going to be people. If the moon landing has enough controversy around it, this definitely will have controversy.
We have a modern day moon landing. Conspiracy.
Wendy's had the greatest response when they said, "Can we send her back to Katy Perry when she was kissing the ground like she acted like she did something?" They're claiming they're astronauts. No, they were passengers. That's like me getting on like a 747 riding along and be like, "Guys, guess what? I'm a pilot now." God. I guarantee, like, if it gets to that side of Twitter, I'm toast. I'll have to make an alliance with Moonhead. Justin Drake here with another 20 says the NFL should draft the St. Louis Battlehawks of the NFL and drop the worst team in the NFL to the UFL as a 1-for-1 trade. So probably the Bears or Panthers.
So
would have been the Titans this year.
I've actually, as much as this would suck to be my team, I've said this would be interesting if we could ever get to a point where the team who wins the UFL championship earns the right to become an NFL team, and the worst team in the NFL gets dropped back down. So we're constantly changing someone out
Isn't that like how international soccer works? I'm not familiar, but I thought that's kind of how like the Premier League versus some of the other leagues. I could be wrong.
So theoretically, we could be saying the worst team in NFL. Okay, can you go win the UFL championship? Are you good enough to beat at least the best over there and get your way back in? Or you could screw yourself over and be trashed down there too, and you never get back to the NFL.
You know,
it's like John Hunter Nemechek betting on himself and going back down to trucks to try and work his way back to the Cup Series.
Danny, I think you brought this up after we went to the Vikings-Titans game to me. I think that's when you brought it up. Because we're on the way back and you're like, I want to see Will Levis in the UFL at this point any way possible.
At this point, Will Levis, get ready to learn DC defenders, I guess.
Get ready to learn left bench, buddy. I think we got another one from Bobby Blair. Thank you. I appreciate it. Saying, with it being draft week, who would you say is NASCAR's current Mr. Irrelevant? Has to be an active driver in the top 3 series.
Alex Bowman. I feel like that would work because he's become something.
He's always saying as the guy at Hendrick that everyone's telling me that Raja's taking his car next year. Justin Haley's getting in that car mid-season.
I mean, could Sammy Smith count? Without the penalty, he's like second in points. Everyone thinks he sucks.
Well, yes, I mean that's a point. Sure, he hasn't done it.
If the Xfinity side of it, maybe.
Yeah.
Bailey Reichert with the 5 here says, who's been the most disappointing rookie so far in the lower series? My pick is Eckes and Perez.
I feel like it has to be William Sawalich, but
Yeah.
Eckes has shown flashes, but the colleague's not what they used to be.
Sawalich, knowing that JGR equipment is still JGR equipment.
Like Eckes should be top 10 in points, and I think he'll get there eventually, but yeah.
But that's about where colleague caps out too.
That's like AJ made the championship 4 last year barely. But like they didn't have anything for the other 3 in that race. Like I feel like that they're at best like a 6th to 8th place team, and Eckes is young. I don't know that he's there yet.
Andre Chavez for the 5 says, did you guys see that Corey LaJoy and his SPP brand signed their first developmental driver? I did not see that.
I did not see that, but I have a sneaking suspicion I might know who it is.
Nap Racing fan here with the 2 says, takes on the all-star format manufacturer challenge. I think I'll be honest, the manufacturer challenge side, I didn't look deep enough in, so I can't really say.
It was like nothing. Like it didn't seem like anything was at stake. It didn't seem like it felt like something they like presented like in a boardroom to Ford, Chevy, and Toyota to make some executives smile. That's what it seemed. That's how it read. Not a single fan is going to care or for reference. I mentioned the all-star format in my episode today of Out of the Groove. And I didn't mention the manufacturer challenge because I couldn't be bothered. And not a single comment on that video is saying, what about the manufacturer challenge? No big
You know what I'm thinking? Dachshund. We got Dachshund here. See, no one cares. Fred Dog 81 says, speaking of baseball, thoughts on the Bristol design? I like it. I think it's cool.
It's cool. I think there's going to be the nosebleediest of nosebleeds, but
yeah, I looked at ticket prices and versus what the view is probably going to be like. I went to the football game. It's going to be even worse for baseball, I feel.
I'm seeing memes already where people are like, yeah, that's strike 3. What are you looking at?
I'm just thinking of that scene with Barbosa and Jack Sparrow when they're comparing telescopes. That's going to be.
Now, I may not be going to that, but I will definitely have my TV on watching all of that game. I'm going to try to.
Yeah.
When is it?
August 2nd?
August 2nd. Let me see. What am I doing August 2nd? Oh, it'll be on after the Iowa Xfinity race. So, yeah.
Sweet deal.
Damn, man. Damn. Hunter Nixon fishing with the hundo. Shit, man. Thank you. Says, one of my favorite memories as a kid would be the 2010 Aaron's 499. And I was there. And at one point towards the end, Dale Jr. and Tony Stewart got hooked up in a tandem and went from like 10th to the lead. And the roar from the crowd when those two got hooked up was unreal. That race, I believe, still to this day is tied with the year after's Aaron 499 as well for having the most lead changes in a race. It's just the difference was they still had the pack with the tandems compared to the next year was just the tandems.
It's funny. McMurray almost won back-to-back super speedway races, but Harvick timed it perfectly. We didn't have this at all really in the 2010 Daytona 500, but then when we came to Talladega with the spoiler instead, it was just a whole new animal.
Well, they had it a little bit. The thing is, like, they had it at the end of 09's Aaron's 499. They had it a little in 08. They actually. People forget the first actual tandem was in 2006. It was Dale Jr. and Brian Vickers, freshly repaved Talladega. And they never could really get it going. Reed Sorensen and Dale Jr. got it going in the duels once in 2008, but nobody could get it really going because I think of the track being so old and bumpy that you just couldn't keep it together. You'd crash them. And then once they repaved Daytona heading into 2011, Talladega is already smooth as hell too. It was on. Like it was on like Donkey Kong. God damn it. West Virginia with the 10. Sorry, Jarrett. Didn't mean to make the vice president of NASCAR Weekly Podcast Club cry. Hope President Eric and competition director Danny can keep the show running. Hope you all have a great night. It's so stupid.
Competition director. I like it.
It's so stupid. I love it. And then Blue Jimmy, I think, adds into it. Says, as Legacy Motor Club's president of eyewitness fan enthusiasts, Jimmy Johnson making a president of crew chiefs role would be the most Jimmy Johnson thing ever. I'm just thinking, what other presidents can we have added to Legacy Motor Club? Like
Vice president of presidents.
I'm actually hoping to be promoted to president of Alex Bowman fans here soon.
Derek here with the 2 says the new president of outhouses at Legacy Motor Club. This is the last one.
That's just building the cars, isn't it?
Oh, from the top rope.
Brutal.
Justin Drake with the 5 here says new Legacy Motor Club announcement. Bristol Motor Speedway is officially the executive of outside racing events.
They're just hiring everyone, man.
Oh man, we do need to get Michael Mertz on here sometime. I know he's coming on later this year, but spoiler, we don't know the date yet, but we know Michael's coming on this year. But we need to ask him what he's the president of at this point. President of Jimmy Defenders. Oh man.
He's the Secretary of Defense for Jimmy funds.
Secretary of Defense, I like that.
I'm president of chicken memes. How about that? Oh man, that was a fun show tonight, guys. A lot of fun. Next week we'll be on Danny's channel at 8 p.m. Eastern time, April 30th, Wednesday, talking all about Talladega.
Talk about who flipped, who won, who had a good time, who hated it.
So flipped Priest won, hopefully Byron for me, who loved it. Hopefully lots of fans who hated it. Hopefully lots of angry fans. I don't know. Non-fans, yes.
Yeah, can't wait to see the gutter. It'll be interesting.
Oh, yeah, that's right. This is the only episode this year until the finale. Since the racing started, we didn't have the comments. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming in. Can't wait to see you next week on Danny's channel. Be sure to tune in and bye-bye. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Started off right, pal. Right on, come on.
Get outside. Rewind.
Unbelievable.
Great playing. We're going. I like the aggressive. We probably got the great car.
You can go tell all those guys up there they can suck it.
What we're about to do is not a good idea.
All good. What is he doing?
You gotta be kidding me.
Half the pack is flying apart.
It's so nice to
See you at the line.
Oh, pack of cars come piling in as well.
Come in the lane. Hello. Come back on him.
That